I'm not going to be looking at you all day. I'm going to be looking at this guy all day. This is the Option Podcast, people. I got Andy in the house, Fulenwider.
There you go. There you go.
Love the Cal Bakersfield. We're going to find out the episode starts right now. What's up, Andy?
How you doing, man?
I'm good. We on that split screen. We on that HD flat. Actually, not the 4-person screen. See what happens when I take my own show.
That could be
Let's
double X, though.
go.
That's okay.
I did it again. Let's turn that off. And then that. And then that. Boom.
Nice.
Nice. Let me center your shot. What's up, guys? Hey, people, we're live right now. I'm doing this all as we speak. I got Andrew Fulenwider. This is Cal, the head coach of Cal Bakersfield. Great player, great alum, and just an absolute savage. Great volleyball mind. I am so happy to have you on the show.
You're too kind, man.
As I continue to move my split screen. Watch this. I move you this way.
Oh, look at that.
There you go. I lift things up and put them down. Hey guys, for everyone watching, you know what happened. COVID happened. And when COVID happened, we all became expert technicians.
There
we
you
became
go.
experts at CPR. We became experts at mechanics, right?
Dude, that's
It's
it.
like, I'm not a mechanic. It's like, yes, you are. You're an Avenger.
You are now. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, so before we got on the podcast, I'll give you a little bit more volume. Yeah, you can keep that far.
Okay.
This room's pretty small, so we don't have to worry about microphone gain.
Okay, cool.
Hey guys, all my guests who were tuning in to see a game, you're going to hear us talk a little bit, but stay with us because all of you are here with me this weekend, and we're actually going to start the podcast, have a little fun. We're going to talk about this weekend. So
Yeah.
let's keep the glass half full a little bit,
All
know,
right.
from the crabby Chewbacca's about everything that was wrong about it.
Yeah.
I'd like to start with what's right about it.
Yeah.
Starting in center court. It was smaller, and I know they sold out,
Yes.
and I know traditionally they'd like to have a big one, but if I
Yeah.
were to get something good out of it, I really enjoyed the intimacy. So I know smaller crowds are more intimate, and setting up the bleachers closer to the courts,
Yeah.
where the fans were on top of you, it was weird. It made the atmosphere more electric,
Yeah.
and larger crowds, it equal to that of a larger crowd in that respect.
Yeah, there's a lot of dynamics that go into putting on tournaments like that, right? So playing in front of a large crowd base, like that's awesome, right? But at the same time, I think some of what the AVP has been missing over the years is just that connectivity with the players, and being up close and intimate like that. It really provided for that. So, like, to give an example, one of the players that had coached as a junior over the years, she played center court against her and her partner against Brandy and Mel. And so I connected with the parents, sat with some of the Long Beach players, and we were just ripping and roaring for these girls as they're playing two of the best players in the world. But
Right.
we're right there. We're not standoffish, when we're not, 50 feet from everybody. So it was so close and intimate. It was actually really cool.
It was really cool. And we're also from the same juniors timeline,
Yeah.
right? Like, I'll just name a name. Zolani Hodel is someone that I had to coach against several times, that I actually coached once because the girl she kept beating, they finally decided to play. If you can't beat them, join them.
Right,
So that was
right.
Natalie Miskowski.
Yeah.
So I did get to coach her once.
Yeah.
But she was fun to coach again. She was fun to coach for. Her mom's this fantastic human being, and Mama raised her right. Isn't she class personified?
Yes. Yeah. No, I mean, I've only had a few interactions with her as a junior, but man, like everything I saw and heard from her was, dude, that was it. Like,
yeah.
And she proved herself. Right?
And Tegan Van Gunst,
yeah.
I nicknamed her the cowgirl because she's one of those people that no matter what the circumstances are, she is like, okay, we don't have time for this.
Yeah.
Like Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
Like if you remember the movie Tears of the Sun, when the guy's on the ground, he's like, I know you're scared, but not today. Now's the time to cowboy the F up.
Yeah, you can be scared.
That's
later.
her. She puts on her cowboy boots and no time for complaining and just.
But that's all right here, right? And that's one of the things that I think a lot. That's really what separates the good players from the great ones.
Yep. I'm actually blessed to have a coach too, because we're definitely going to talk about the mental as well. So,
massive.
So that's what I got. Is that what you got? Just watching some of your product and that you coach with
It,
and against,
dude,
just kind of
it was fun,
see them
man.
as life size adults.
Yeah, dude, it's great, and just to watch him step on the court with some of the best players in the world and just go for it, right? And I think that's the other side that holds people back so much is their inability to just like you said, like just get up and just charge and go. You have to go. Like the first serve to the last serve, same.
Can you appreciate why? Wow. Oh, our sounds great. Thanks. Can you appreciate why I loved single elimination? I will cite as a pretext.
Sure.
I am as close to a lone wolf as a lone wolf is going to be.
Don't let Travis hear you say
There's
that.
going to be one or two people. Actually, he sent me a message. Actually, I'll read the message later, and I think he's okay with that. He knows I don't indulge private conversation, but he'll be okay with it. But maybe there's one or two people like, no, I got your back. Well, I'm really alone because I'm the only one saying it.
No,
I enjoyed it for all the reasons you just said. I think if they want to be professionals, you have to play every match as if it's your last match.
Yeah.
Because quite frankly, it could be, and quite frankly, in this series it was.
It's like every point is that way. Like you can set people up when you're playing, but at the same time, it's like every point matters. And this is like, and I mean, well, I'm sure we'll touch into it like on the league and stuff going to 15, right? It's like there's no room for error. You just got to go. And but again, that's the mental side, which I know we're going to get to too.
Yeah. And I mean, we can bounce back and forth on the drawbacks as well. We don't have to necessarily consolidate these categories. It's Coach Jiva. What's up? I see you, my man. Coach Voodoo and Coach Doodoo. Andy, what's the story behind the Voodoo name?
Oh, man.
Saw it on IG.
So it was one of those.
Let's do it.
It was one of those things where, like, whatever. A lot of different coaching stuff, but at the same time, like, you got to have a good time too. And that happened to be my drink of choice was Voodoo Ranger.
Okay.
And people always ask me like, oh, what do you like to drink? I'm like, whatever's the highest alcohol content. All right. And so Voodoo Ranger happened to be
my man.
Voodoo Ranger happened to be the strongest thing that was there. And so I started drinking that, and then people started calling me Voodoo, and my court at my house is called Voodoo Beach.
Yeah.
So it's just like, I don't know. It's a long story, but it's actually kind of fun.
Actually, but I think that pretty much tells it all. I think Jiba and the crowd can. He said respect. Guys, don't forget to smash that like button. It helps with the algorithm. And of course, you have any questions and want to jump in on this conversation, I'll be checking, the messages like every 5 minutes, every 10 minutes, just to see if someone has something to say. Karj Jiba's been with me for Motherload pretty much the whole tournament.
Oh, that's cool.
And I'm sure he's got a chance to see some of the live streams this weekend.
Yeah.
So, quick drawback since it's still in my memory bank. The format. There are some people that are good players, that are worthy players,
Yes.
that will be the victim of, their own failure, right? But also of how it's done, and maybe you can't have a bad day, right? Like Ali, I think many people would like to see Ali San and Alvaro there, right?
Yeah.
I'm a big
took out my boys first round. Like that was brutal. But that was like watching an FIVB finals match. It was ridiculous.
Right.
So yeah.
I want to speak with my feelings, and then I'll be a cold fish because
Sure.
I'm a Bill Parcells guy. So for me, at the end of the day, either you do it or you don't.
That's true.
And people don't want to listen to me when I say that, but it's what shaped good people like me, who I am. People better be worse. But Corey, I've become a bit of a fan.
Sure.
You and I were purists, and we don't necessarily follow a player as much as we love the sport.
Right.
But we have our exceptions.
Yeah.
And I become a fan because I've seen his journey.
Yeah.
Playing every weekend regional tournaments. He was a full-time blocker.
Yeah.
First time I met him, I was coaching Jake and Earl Schultz. Playing.
Yeah.
I was against him in Valela. So that's how I had to play him to get in. So,
gotcha. Okay.
And I'm like, all right, we ain't messing with this lefty. We're not serving.
No.
We're not serving to him. We're not giving him no free balls. We're not giving him no down balls. So seeing someone as galvanizing and as magnetizing as him not be in the league when we know that he's good for the league, right?
Yeah.
Hurts, right?
Yeah.
Now, that's my feelings. And
Sure.
Your wheels are turning. I'm going to definitely let you go because they came to listen to you. Besides, right, your first time guest. Now we can, when you come on a
Dude,
second and third time, we could talk as all we want. But I
yeah.
want them to hear you. But I'm gonna be a cold fish and say, when the moment comes, either you're good enough or you're not.
Yeah.
Okay. The circumstances, he didn't have try the first go around, right?
Sure.
He had tried the second go around, but you lose to Wilcox and I forgot Wilcox's partner. Um,
Oh man, I forgot to.
yeah, and that's my point.
Yeah.
And that's my point. You can't lose to these people who are picking up new partners.
Yeah.
You got Taylor and Allen playing, Billy Allen playing with each other.
That
And
was
when you
legit.
when you got two defenders, right, you're going to cheer for them every time they get a block. But there was a part of me like, I'm like, if these guys make the semifinals,
Oh man.
this is an indictment on the men's division, right? Go ahead.
Well, what I was going to say is like, I think, and we can go to it later, but I will forever say that people that can split block, like, understand the game a little bit more. Because they have to do it all. And defenders, like sometimes I'll have my blockers play defense because a defender has to read so much. And if your eye work and vision is as good as it's supposed to be, like these professional level guys, you're still seeing all that stuff happen, but it's happening right in front of your face. And so now your block work can adjust. And as a smaller blocker, you have to be more precise in your timing and your movements, and you have to be way more deceptive. Right. So now there's, again, like guys that are 6'9", like James, like just up there and outside of his body making these fast movements. Like, dude, that's legit too. Right. So you can't take anything away from that. But like, I'm a smaller guy. I split block a lot. And I'm just like, I will root the heck out of those guys forever.
Yeah. Well, I know people transition to these permanent defenders and permanent blockers. Right. But I think the best players in the league are the hybrids. Like the other guy I happen to be a secret fan of, not so secret anymore, is Trevor Crabb.
Yeah.
A lot of tools in the toolbox, right?
Yeah.
He's only, I listed at 6'4", but like when he's at the net, no one has ever called him small at the net.
No.
He plays big. Billy Allen is acknowledged as a full-time defender, so there's more of a conspicuous distinction.
Yeah.
But he was big at the net.
Yeah, he was.
Taylor's sneaky. Taylor shows you the top of the tape.
Yeah.
Right? And you think you got more, but you need to extend.
Yep.
And he's on that now you see me, now you don't type thing.
Exactly.
And I wouldn't be surprised to look at the stats to see if he led the tournament in blocks.
Dude, they probably did as a pair. Like I was like, dude,
that's might be first and second.
Dude, I was sitting there rolling because it was so good. I was so proud watching that. I'm like, dude, I love this. They had it too. They had a shot. Yeah.
It was great for us to just cheer for guys who are galvanizing. Like Billy's just a great guy. No one's gonna boo him.
Nah.
Taylor has this religious following. Like, like I was calling court 2, and everybody's like, "Aren't you gonna do Taylor's game court 3?" And I'm like, he's covered.
He's all right.
He's got a whole circus following him around. He's got people buying him steak dinners and like everywhere he goes. So that's you, a matzah. That's what happens when a ranger talks to a Marine.
There you go.
Screw the Marines. Yeah. See those awards behind you? Look at those awards behind you.
Look at all that.
I'm a better shot than Oswald, which is insane. Which is not saying much.
Hey, but they had 2, right?
Yeah. But so I had mixed feelings.
Yeah.
And I'll jump off the ship a little faster than I don't want to stay on this ship too long, but I was sad because it was an indictment on the men's division that these two guys can just come out of the NCAA season and just be like, yeah, we can win. And they almost did. And they took the first set from Andy, Bud and Miles.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Dude, I mean, I'm sure Billy's players at Stanford would just be like, when do you have time to practice? But like sometimes people just wake up out of bed good. Right. And but that's a testament to them too, as a partnership and a pairing, right? First ball side, like I will preach it for days. First ball side out, right? It is hard to score points on defense.
All right.
Right. And it's like, if we can roll 70% first ball side out and maybe pick up 50% on transition, like, dude, you win the points you're supposed to win. And that's how you win the matches. And that's what they did. I would be curious to see what their first ball side out rate was. Like it was high clip.
Ridiculously high. I First of all, they're impossible to ace. So if you're serving strategies that ace them, don't do that. Just
Yeah.
work high left shoulder, find a weakness on the videos, and if they get the if they're insisting those first 2 or 3 passes, stay with it.
Yeah.
It's because we coaches we call that constant pressure.
Yeah.
You're not looking for fast results. You're looking for the long game.
Yeah.
And you saw a little bit of Joss and Harrison do that a little bit. They got some
Yeah.
shanks, but then I'm like, if Taylor and Billy are taking these lemon passes and making transition lemonade sets and swings,
Yeah.
it's over.
Yeah.
It's over.
Yep.
And if they were going to beat them, it would have been that first set when it was decided by 2. After that, good coaches crack the code.
Mm-hmm.
They make the adjustments. And
Yeah.
I knew that second set. I'm talking and in terms of Harrison and Joss.
Sure.
That match. Because that was the only one I saw. I'm like, yep. If you were going to win, it had to be the first one.
Yeah.
Like Zolani Hodel and Tegan Van Gunst.
Yeah.
If they were going to beat Julius Scholes or Donlin, it was going to be that first set. They had to win that. That first set was a must, and
Dude,
they did.
When you have that underdog mentality, that's just it. Like, and we'll talk about it later. But
Yeah.
like when our school beat Hawaii for the first time ever, it was like I told the girls, and I told the girls straight up, I'm like, you run out and you take this first set, dude. They're struggling. You know what I mean? Like they're gonna be in straight panic mode. And what did we do? We took the first set across the board.
Yep.
And we ended up beating. But it's just like, that's the underdog mentality, right? Taylor and Billy walk into that going like, we're not supposed to win.
Right.
But can we win? Absolutely. So what are we going to do? We're just going to go balls out.
Right.
And that's what they did. And they proved something to themselves that day too.
Yeah. And as far as the league is concerned, I'm a big fan of meritocracy, right? And of course, I'm sad as a color commentator. There's no 8-person elimination thing for my position.
Yeah.
We know who'd win that, right? I'd have 2 forfeits before I even hit the semis. But no, but in terms of earning your spot in the league, I'm not a big fan of wild cards because you can't have a meritocracy and have wild cards, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, with the exception of Phil,
sure,
who's got the street cred and can do whatever he wants. You want to play with a guy who buys you a car, fine. You can do that. Exactly. That's what goats get to do, right? And he's helped the league so much that there is a pay it back thing.
Sure,
but I didn't like wild cards, but the wild cards took care of themselves.
Yeah.
Right? Kristen and Taryn got a wild card, but they won. They would have been anyway, right? The Canadians got a wild card, but they were in the finals or semifinals. And we all know that if they went to that first tournament, they probably would have beaten Quiggle and Rice. And or not. I mean, Rice is.
And when you're one of the best teams in the world, how do you not? How can the AVP not put them in?
Right.
Because that's a draw.
It's a silver medalist.
Dude, it's a draw, right? It's a draw. The draw equals money. Draw equals crowds.
Right.
Right. So, of course, you've got to do it. Phil, 100%. One of the best players in the world.
I think so. Yeah.
So it's like there's that.
But if you're doing a league and you draft these people to these towns, right?
Yeah.
Like, consider this. If New Orleans had a team, and if they were in charge of drafting the team they wanted,
dude,
are they going to draft Evan Corey or are they going to draft Phil?
They're going to take Corey. Right. And it's like, dude, New Orleans team would be legit.
And I'm not throwing shade on Phil. Everybody's you're talking about the GOAT. Because we're not talking about who's better.
No, we're talking
about.
Yeah. No, that's it. Fan base, everything else, that thing would be unreal. Like you got Taryn and Kristen, sponsored by the entire state.
Yes.
Hello.
So, that's academic.
Why does New Orleans not have a team?
They should.
All I'm saying,
the atmosphere is electric. The volleyball support group is good, and clearly the talent, particularly on the women's side, is omnipresent.
Dude,
you have how many girls from LSU were in the main draw or in the league?
It's like LSU, USC,
right? You got Rodriguez.
Yeah.
You got Kristen and Taryn.
Yeah.
You got Gerhardt. I know she was really good. There were so many girls. I'm like, I didn't know you went to LSU. Wow, I didn't know you went to LSU. Just
that's crazy.
Yeah, Russell Brock, do your thing. Drew Hamilton, do your thing. From two coaches, and this guy, current NCAA, are doing. We're definitely going to jump on Bakersfield because I have so much to talk about. But I guess I wanted to say that I'm sad that some people are not in because they're good. They would be good for the league as far as moving the needle. But I'm also happy the purist and the hater from New York City and Bill Parcells style of my coaching and commentating of either you're good enough or you're not, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure the Patriots would have loved to have finished undefeated, but
Yeah.
There was only one team that believed in themselves that won, right? Well, actually, not once but twice, right?
Right,
Did they do it twice?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, Eli.
You know,
That's why Brady said "F you, Eli."
but I got to give a shout out to my man Sean Cook, because dude, I love Sean. I think he is the most entertaining guy on tour at the moment.
Yeah.
And I mean, ever since I met him,
Weren't you glad he made it though?
Dude, 100%.
Yes.
I was rooting for that guy the whole way. I mean, we obviously came and James took him out, right? But in that Huntington qualifier, but at the same time, dude, the guy's legit, man. He's so good for the league. And so I was so happy. I texted him as soon as he posted it. I was like, oh, bro, so proud of you, man.
Yep.
But that's what it is, right?
You know, it's crazy. Me on personal sentiments is probably not a guy I despise more than that guy when I met him. I didn't like that guy when I met him, but I'm not an idiot.
Yeah.
You know, and look, we're not enemies, and
no,
we're cordial.
No,
If
yeah.
he says hi, we're gonna do the little, Robert De Niro, Chaz Palminteri from Bronx Tale nod, just kind of that. I'm not, and of course, and he's an interesting cat, and I'd love to have him on the podcast at some point.
Yeah.
But
first guy to ever bounce a ball over my net and lose it at my house. But
the swing, the whip that guy has from anywhere you put the ball up.
Yeah.
And the energy that guy emotes is fantastic for the league. 100%. And if he's with Brooklyn again, Brooklyn.
Oh, dude.
Look, New York, as a New Yorker, I'm gonna tell you who New York likes the Taylors, because they're loved everywhere.
Sure.
Right? You could draft the Taylors for any city, and they're gonna be in the same boat.
Yeah.
And New York has a multicultural population.
Absolutely.
So the Brazilians are gonna like them, the Koreans are gonna like them, the Dominicans, are gonna like them, because they play for Hustle and Flow.
That's what I was just about to say. That look at Hustle and Flow.
Yeah. All Dominican. That was Dominican setter, Frankie Valdez, Dominican Alpo,
that was a libero.
Dominican libero. Elvis, was it Elvis? Nah,
I was a libero in over 40 National League, right?
Yeah.
And we played Hustle and Flow, and I was setters rolling out. I swear to God, probably had a cigarette hanging out of his mouth. But it just dude, they're so freaking good and multidimensional, like you said, and multicultural, right?
They're
so
they're Bameso outcast.
Yeah.
All the guys who are Dominican, there's a team called the Bameso that won nationals in 2002, 2005. I actually played for them. I actually helped them win one regionals. I've never been to nationals because I couldn't afford the trip. And Batista, they're gonna pay for him. Frankie, they're gonna pay for him.
Sure.
You're not gonna pay for me. I'm like, dude, I'm the one.
Come on now.
I'm the one who's making just enough money to be broke. And I did play with them and definitely played against them. It's Monday. There's a place in Harlem called Riverbank State Park. We call it Dominican Fours.
Okay.
So if you can't take care of first hit, they make you play with the girls. They don't even care if you're 6'7" or whatever. And it's Elvis, the late Luis Mendez. He passed away. God rest his soul. He was a setter.
Yeah.
If you remember that guy, he just passed away. Early this year or late last year. Just a great human being, and I don't want to get emotional.
Sure,
but those are the guys who were there every week. And if you can't, middles had to be able to pass. Everybody had to be able to take care of first hit.
Yeah,
and it's fours, and it's concrete, hard top fours. Yeah. So now it's play running. The setter's hitting on two. You're running shotgun plays. It's not like the beach where you're just setting strand side the same guy.
Yeah.
It is. You can really cut your teeth there because it's a two-passer system. There's no third passer.
Yep.
So I'm sorry, I kind of stringed off a little bit, but
I probably helped you with that a little bit.
It's just because we I'm a little bit older than you, but I played on the same timeline as you because I was in the Army, then I got out, then I got really fat, but then I dropped 60 pounds, and I had a second chance at my career. I dropped 60. No, the difference is Ozempic. You got to keep taking it. You know, and when you stop, guess what? That commercial's it's back. Ozempic, people. This is brought to you by.
We're trying to get you sponsors
Ozempic. No, I don't ever want to be beholden to big pharma. Ever.
I hear that,
guys. If you're not a millionaire by the time you're 40, make sure you're married to one. But let's see. We could. I'm going to end up talking to Aaron about this later. But let's table one of the things you liked and one of the things you like to see an improvement on as far as qualifying for the league is concerned? Assuming, I mean, you might be one of the people that don't want the league at all, but hypothetically, let's say you're stuck with it. I'm not stuck with it. I love it.
Yeah, yeah.
But let's say on your worst day, you're stuck with it. What's one of the things you liked about the 3 tournament format, and what's one thing you want to change?
Single elimination is always tough, but it goes back to you're either on or you're off. Right. And at any given day, like at this sport, at this level, everybody is physical. Right. So on any given day, somebody's going to take that spot. And it's like, did you show up that day or did you not? Right. And so there is that component to it. Single elimination is really, really tough. I know, like, shout out to Travis. He's a double elim guy forever, you know.
Yeah.
But like,
and this is a guy that survived tons of single elimination tournaments, so he's got, he's worth a listen.
Yeah,
if you were talking about Meritocracy.
Yeah. You know, and so there's that. I mean, I really feel that if the AVP wants to do some stuff right, they got to give more opportunity to more people.
Right.
Because if you're only limited to the 8 to 8 teams on the men's side and on the women's side, like there's so much talent out there.
Mm-hmm.
That is never going to get a shot, and now you're just driving people away. So one of the things I didn't like is the fact that, one, it is single elim, because it does make it hard for some of those guys to make that trek from, let's say, the East Coast, right? Or maybe there's some more New Orleans guys out there.
Yeah,
right?
like Corey decided to move here.
And it's like, dude, there's a significant cost that comes with that. So unless I don't want to say it, make it sound bad, but unless you got a bunch of money to be able to afford to get out there and go to all these little qualifiers to just maybe play for half an hour and lose, I don't know, $1,000.
It's about money management too,
yeah.
Right? The AVP can have money, but if without management, it's just a garbage can with a bunch of holes in it and you're pouring water in it. And
yeah.
We can say that. I don't want to get political, but like if you look at, I'm a veteran, right?
Sure.
But if you look at the VA hospital in New York, and you look at the VA hospital in LA, right?
Yeah.
Per capita, per person, it's the same money.
Yeah.
But New York is fantastic.
Yeah.
My wife's like, "Do you want to be on my insurance?" I'm like, "Oh hell nah."
Yeah.
I got guys from HSS, Hospital for Special Surgery, who have 15-hour-a-week commitments at the VA.
Yeah.
I'm good, because if I'm on your insurance, I probably have to pay more off the top.
Yeah.
If I wanted to see someone from my knee and I mean real stuff, not like here's this crutch or here's this knee brace. No, like cadaver surgery, like, top of the line stuff that extended my career 10 years.
And that's the thing too. It's like not everybody has the same financial means to be able to travel around to try and make their dreams come true. Right. And that's one of the reasons that I stopped early on.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so it's like, but there's a lot of good talent out there that I feel that never gets a shot. So like take Ken Steffes as an example. Like a lot of stuff he talks about is like, just open it up.
It's true.
Let the best people compete, best players in the world compete.
And how's that worked? And how's that worked out though?
Yeah, I mean, it's just like I don't think we actually really do all the time.
I mean, all these great ideas, but they've tried that, and how's that worked out, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it survived the '90s because you had Corona, and we also agree that that sex sells.
Advertising is different today than it was then,
right?
So the money, I don't think the ebbs and flows of money is the same as it was.
Right. And Kent Steffes is on to a point. I mean, I've had John Moran that had some terrific ideas that he disagreed with. He had like a rebuttal video, and it was weird. I don't want to sound like I'm throwing shade on Kent, but
no, you're good.
They're like, do you want me to send you the video of his rebuttal video? I was like, no. I said, I invited that guy on the podcast twice because he had ideas, and I wanted to debate those ideas. And he hasn't come on, so if he's not interested in talking to me, why should I listen to him?
It's like
because he played, or because he has good ideas?
Well, and that's the thing. There's little bits of truth in everything, right? And it's like, how do we find out what is the best thing for the day and age that we're in?
Listen to everybody and listen to what makes sense,
dude.
Because this whole appeal to authority thing might have worked for him, right? And I'm not devaluing any of the ideas. In fact, I thought the conversation that Hagen and St. John had that was great for the sport. Big up to Eric Cam, man. Eric Cam, you were doing the dang thing, man. But Mr. the man is doing the work of 5 men and embarrassing photographers. I know they're smiling, but I know they don't like him because I don't know. There's only 24 hours in a day. I don't know how that guy does that. take it from me. I'm a podcaster who edits his own video.
Dude, it's a lot of work, man.
It's wild. But so for me, I will start. I will say what I liked. I liked the intimacy.
Yes.
Everyone wants double elimination. They had double elimination. In fact, they had triple elimination. It was called Huntington Beach 1, Huntington Beach 2, and Huntington Beach 3 for the 4 spots for a main draw, right?
Yeah.
So not only did you have 3 opportunities, but you had recovery and rest
Sure.
For single elimination,
Yeah.
games to 15, which didn't benefit people like Alisson because he's a slow starter. By the time he gets going, by the time his computer says upload complete, he's already down 1-0. Right. Now, here's what I'd like them to do better. I would like the Heritage Series as Huntington to be different from the three tournaments.
Yeah.
This way, the people who already made the league don't, they're trying to make their money. Of course, they're going to the Heritage Series. Of course, they're not going there to lose because someone doesn't have a spot.
Right.
But we didn't need to have Taylor and Billy eliminating teams. We didn't need to have, Miles and whatever eliminating teams because they're not competing for a spot. It's like for the privilege of being in the league, you have to beat the 2 teams that played in the Olympics.
Right.
That's not fair.
Yeah.
That's an unfair thing.
Yeah.
So if there were anything I'd like them to change, they could definitely afford money-wise because Huntington, the purse wasn't that big to begin with, and the venue wasn't that big to begin with. So have those 3 tournaments for those 6 spots.
Right.
No more freaking wild cards.
Yeah.
No more wild cards. If you're not going to do it for Evan, you're not going to do it for an Olympic gold medalist like Alisson, then you shouldn't do it for nobody. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Kristen, I know they got it. They deserved it. But come on. Them Louisiana girls are earners.
Right.
They're like, what you got to say now?
Yeah. And I agree.
What you got to say? That's what Huntington said. Huntington said, what you got to say now?
And I agree. I think that I don't think that the Huntington Beach Open should have actually been a qualifying thing. I think it should be a whole thing by itself. If you're going to run qualifiers, run qualifiers.
And it's one of the Heritage Series things.
Yeah.
Right? Manhattan Beach is a Heritage Series. Chicago's probably not going to be, right?
Yeah.
Which is going to make the motherload a bloodbath. I'm gonna be at MCing.
Oh, that's cool, man.
Well, they told me I got a choice. Beach Volleyball World's going to do it. And I know Corey Brindell's loyal.
Okay.
And he's loyal and he wants the best person for the job.
Yeah, that's good.
In my heart of hearts, I'm gonna be that's me.
That's cool.
And if you ask any of these, ask Travis, any of these guys behind closed doors, who is it? They will not lie to them. Behind look, for professional reasons, they got to do what they got to do. But behind closed doors, they know it's me.
No, that's cool.
Yeah, Jiba is like wild cards. So wild cards is the AVP's way of saying we'll do whatever we want because we will either A, loyal to this person, or 3B, think that it's good for the league.
Mm-hmm.
And with Phil, 2 things could be true at the same time.
Yeah.
They're loyal, and in no way is that man not good for the league.
Right.
Do you know what a transcendent athlete is? A transcendent athlete is someone who doesn't know the sport or watches the sport, but knows that guy's name.
Yeah.
For example, someone doesn't watch wrestling knows who Hulk Hogan is, right? Someone that doesn't watch MMA knows who Conor McGregor or Ronda Rousey is, right? Someone doesn't watch the NBA, but they know who LeBron James is, and on all the nicknames that come with him, Lip Flop, Lip Cramp, right? A bunch of haters, but I'm a hater too, I guess. From New York.
Hey.
So we haven't had a male or transcendent athlete since Kerry Walsh and Misty
May. Yeah. I can see that.
Think about that. Phil is as close as we got to a transcendent athlete. And I'm ashamed that April Ross didn't get the same shine as Kerry because April Ross is in that GOAT conversation after winning the gold.
Absolutely.
She got a bronze, silver, and gold with multiple partners.
Yeah.
She's in that GOAT conversation.
Yeah. No, 100%.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know what? To hell with that. Let's before we go to Bakersfield, and we go way back. So I guess we'll go domestic because if I just went goats for females, Jackie Silva's my one. So who are your top 3 goats? And then we could play with 4 and 5. Because I think top 3 goats we could probably have a given. I'll go Kerry and Misty.
Okay.
And I'll go April. So those are my three givens. 4 and 5 we could have a good time. Who would you have as your 3?
You just took my 3.
Yeah. You just got M&M's.
I'm like,
you just got M&M's.
Oh man.
I know everything he's about to say against me.
I'm about to go run 8 miles.
Oh man, give him the mic.
No, but I mean, but you're right. Like, and I think it's hard, I mean, that's always one of those debates, right? The
Yep.
greatest of all time. And it's like, okay, domestically, right? But at the same time, you take into, like, are we talking like tit for tat? Are we talking like take that person and plug them into today's environment with the training, with everything out? You know what I mean? And or do we go old school, and do we go big court? Do we go
Isn't that wild
scoring,
that people talk about
like,
training and science and conditioning, but the old school guys last longer? If these guys are such super athletes, I mean, we keep evading the mental part where it keeps coming full circle in our conversation, doesn't it?
Because it's just what's important, right?
Yeah.
Like, everybody's physical at that level. Everybody's physical, but do you have it up here, and can you sustain it?
I think for the men, I think Karch could exist in any condition, and he has, and I think he was there during just at the change or just before the change. Like Dane could have, Fenoy could have, Mike could have, because Mike saw the elite in the Olympics. He saw the elite athletes coming. He himself said that. Oh, Dodd. He himself said that they're 2 years away from catching up. He saw the elite athletes on the horizon. So, but. Yeah, so I'll go to 3, and
I mean, you got to throw Phil, right? I mean, like,
for the men, for 3 men, I'll go Karch, Randy, and Phil.
Yeah,
those are my 3 givens, and everybody listening. And I wish old school was listening right now, because I'd be like, Menges, they'd be like, so listening. Right, those guys are freaking fantastic at reminding us to put respect on these people's names.
But that's just it. There's a lot of great players, and I think a lot of those players could be really successful in today's, in today's formats, right? But like, okay, do we have the training? Do we have that? But it was a different game,
right?
I mean, obviously, when you're going side out scoring to 15, and it's 5-5, and you've already played for an hour, you know what I mean? And then you got like 5 more of those games to go until the day's over, right? It's not, you're not playing 2.
No, you're not.
Not playing 2 and getting out, so it's different. The training was different. Like, I mean, and it's not that there aren't like more physical players or whatever, but body types are different too, right? So you have, it's a sprint, but it's an endurance sprint, if that makes sense, right? It's a sprint for 6 hours,
right? It's a marathon. It's not a track.
But you're sprinting that thing. You're not jogging it.
No,
and so today it's like you're sprinting for 45 minutes because it's basically timed, right? 45 minutes, then you got like an hour off. 2 hours off, and then you got 4. And I'm not, don't get me
now you
wrong.
Gotta recover, like,
dude, don't get me wrong, right? So it's like, but when you're going back to back to back, and you're just running nonstop, like, how many people are cramping nowadays, right? How many people were cramping back then? How many people got IV bags of saline, like, just trying to like knock that out so that they can get back on the court?
Yeah, it's
just different, right?
It really is. And the reason why I never, like, I was more a predominantly grass player.
Yeah, me too.
Coming up, and not beach, and I never went to tournaments because I can go 6 straight games without recovering and be less tired from playing 6 straight than I would playing 2, then having a rest, and playing 2 and having a rest and playing. It was exhausting. Of the waiting and the carnival, the tournaments was not a fun thing for me. So I've always frowned away from them. So if it was like a close friend, or if it was like a business deal, because like some of those tournaments helped put me through summer school, put me through college, because I would just pick grass tournaments, about 500, Sherwood,
that's it.
Sherwood, Pottstown. I played in that. I took 2002. Took 5th with Stafford Barzy, who's the head coach of Army right now. The Army, the women's team. But
the grass is way harder on your body, though. Like, I got 2 fake hips to prove it. And a fused back. So
it is
just like,
and the Pottstown Rumble is the most grueling tournament in volleyball. It's side, guys, for people listening, it is side out to 15.
Shout out to Andrew Dentler, my buddy.
One with Caleb Quakel.
That's what I'm telling you.
Andrew's 3rd one, I think. Yeah. I was there. I was there for the Hall of Fame. Burek and Bates. And Lauren on the female side got into the Hall of Fame. Adam Roberts. Got into so, I'm not one of those guys just to show up and call matches and act all uppity. I'm there. I'm checking out the restaurants. None. I'm checking out the food. None. And then the day before, when there wasn't a whole lot of people around, the Hall of Fame, I was there for that.
Nah, that's cool.
So for them the haters at Pottstown, that were being all territorial, I will post that question to you. Where were you during the Hall of Fame? You right?
There you go.
I mean, so
yeah,
I'm not going back for all the wrong reasons, and that's sad because I did have a lot of support there.
Yeah,
but it is the most grueling tournament.
Oh, I bet.
Guys, it's the hottest month in June in Pottstown, right? The sun's pounding down you. It's big court.
Yep.
And it's to 15 against NCAA Division I players.
Yeah.
So it's like having indoor guys who can function in the sand, except it's not the sand. That's what it feels like to the beach players.
Mm-hmm.
It's a level playing field, and that's why it's grueling. Yeah.
That's why I loved it. And it's funny because we go, you look at all the jump setting and the options and things like that. Dude, we were doing that 30 years ago on grass, just because it was indoor on grass, right? So we're running fastballs, we're running tempo, and we're running that on a big court,
right?
So sometimes people get caught up into the latest whatever, but it's not new. Maybe developing an entire system around it is new, right? The Swedish guys, when I was fortunate enough to help Andy and Miles with their head coach Mike Playchak, right? And so that's obviously that's a system. Right. And so you're incorporating that, but it's not new.
No. Well, it's not new to the international scene because they had an emphasis on a faster release.
Yeah.
And faster release where you're allowed to translate to the jump set almost immediately.
We'll go down the rabbit hole setting.
Watching some of these deep dish guys jump set is like watching a game of taps. I don't know if you grew up playing taps where you had to hold the ball while your feet were in the air and you had to get rid of it before your feet hit the ground. So it was,
dude,
it looks embarrassing, right? And look, when the deep dish is there and it doesn't spin and it's immaculate and everyone screams nectar, that's a real thing.
Yeah.
And because there's a skill that comes with that.
Absolutely.
And of course the resentment when from those guys that, people, and of course, the rest.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But finishing with Pottstown, you'll love this one. I was accused of being a homer by two guys, right? And these are two guys that actually had the balls to come up to me, and I respect that because they told me to my face.
Yeah.
Instead of hiding behind DSuck69, username, right? So I said, okay, I'm a homer. Right. So it's the finals.
Yeah.
So I'm like, who am I a homer for?
Yeah.
And one guy said Jake Aratia.
Okay.
And the other guy said Andrew Dentler. And I said, go home. They went against each other.
Yeah.
How am I a homer? If they're on opposite teams.
Yeah.
Because Jake, I coached into his first main draw.
Okay.
2019.
Cool.
And Andrew Dentler, we coached at Endless Summer for 2 years.
Yeah.
With Jaron Barreto, Jeff Samuels, Pompeo, Mercadante.
Yep.
I mean, just Brazil, Flint, Osborges, Cuba, right? Dentler, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Right? Me, dirty New Yorker, Rob McLean, just a 6 guys that have no reason to agree with each other.
Right? But sometimes there's the beauty in that, right? We go down that rabbit hole of coaching too, but it's there's no one way.
Karch said he played some rumbles. Grass kicks your
dude.
He's right. He says Andrew Dentler is the man.
Yeah.
And he is.
Yeah.
He is.
So Andrew, short story or long story, if you want to look at it that way, but Andrew was the first pro that I actually coached, right? So I coached him and John Ferrari. They'd come down to the house and train. God, I don't even remember how many years ago this was now, but and that was my first experience, being able to coach them through that grueling qualifier into Manhattan Beach, right? To end up taking 13th. We beat Troy and Baranek at that time, and I was like, dude, and that was the last time that those guys were together. I love Eric. I know that guy. He's a great human, a great coach. From Eric Baranek. Yeah. And
he surprised me because most players don't just become good coaches like that. And I see him work every day on the Strand because that's where he coaches.
And and it's that was Dentler, right? So he was, anytime he'd come out here, I mean, he came out with Adam for this qualifier, but Adam probably had something else up the sleeve on that qualifier for coaching, but at the same time it was they
did not leave.
No,
they did not stay for the result. That I've never seen someone get their car with the speed. And Adam, I love and respect,
Yeah.
and but I'm like, I know when someone ain't in the mood to talk, right?
Yeah.
And you hope to see you on the East, because they were. I never saw two people leave the beach as angry and as fast
And
as they had.
that's tough. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a hard moment to be in.
So let me ask
know?
you something. So I assume you followed Dentler and Ferrari in New Orleans, 2021, when they made the semis.
Yeah. And I saw, what was it, Troy end up hitting a ball, and I text Troy afterwards. He hit a ball off of Dentler's hand. Like, I think he lost it in the swamp. And he's like, yeah, that thing ain't coming back.
No.
But I mean, like, dude, it's so fun just to watch those guys, man. Like, anytime.
That was the first time I've ever seen some Ferrari.
Dude, I mean,
I have so much respect for it. What a coming out party for the people that never saw him like me.
Yeah.
I was like, wow. He played with Andrew, and he played Corey and Weber in the semis.
Yeah.
And it went to 3, and he's got to deal with them. He's got to deal with the crowd.
Is that the one where it got like postponed because of the storms? And
no, that was
that was that the year.
That was the year after.
Oh, gotcha.
The year after, the ball disappeared.
Yeah,
you saw the video where the ball disappeared,
flying away.
Let me see if I can find that.
Dude,
maybe I can find that on YouTube. Ball disappears.
Dude, AVP ball goes flying off.
While I'm looking for this, talk to me a little bit about John Ferrari.
Dude, I mean, it's the first time I met him. Obviously, was at my house, right? And like we had a connection. He knew one of my old partners from back in the day. Like, so it was just like, it was kind of instant. I love John, like just a great sense of humor, and but that kid could play. And it was always fun just being in his corner, because they're coachable too. Right. So, for me, it's more like, you guys are professional athletes. You guys know what the heck you're doing. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm more along the lines of like, okay, how do we facilitate the conversations to make sure we're all on the same page? Right.
Wait, here it is. Oh shit! Right there. It just disappeared. Hold on, we gotta go back. Where did it go? Oh shit! It just disappeared into the clouds. You can't even see it. It's gone. Dude. This huge ball. Just. Oh man, that was awesome. I X out of that for a minute, but yeah, I found it while you're whatever. I was just hoping I could find it.
But I know John was having some shoulder issues too, right? And so then that was pretty much the end of it after that. I know he hopped into coaching for a little bit,
and that's too bad because his personality.
He's a fun guy.
And the crowd, he got the crowd to hate him until they loved him.
Yeah,
that takes a skill.
Absolutely.
That someone like him is not trying to do. It's natural.
Yeah.
It's organic. It didn't, and because you can tell when it comes from a phony place and a manufactured place.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
And yeah, John Ferrari, man, you're getting a lot of shine on this podcast today.
But it was funny,
but it was the first time I've probably seen him 100 times, but it was the first time he was on my radar. Because again, I'm a Bill Parcells guy. Either you do it or you don't.
Yeah.
So yeah, semis. Dealing with the New Orleans crowd against the hometown kid in Kenner, from Kenner.
Yeah, and they took us out in that Manhattan one too.
You know what I mean?
I'm just like,
they did. Who'd you play with?
Man. Well, no, it was Dentler and John were playing. It was Logan and Evan, right? And so and they took us out. They took us out there. I was just like, God dang it, man! But that was the first time that I had seen Evan, and I'm like, oh, this kid's legit.
Yeah,
springy lefty. I'm like, all right, like, you can run all kinds of crazy systems with that if you're in system, right?
Yeah, the first time I noticed him again was I was coaching Earl Schultz and Jake Ovatia, and Jake is kind of weird with like me saying I was his coach, but you know what, Jake, you tried to make the main draw 6 times, you failed all 6 times. I got you once, you made it, so give me some credit. A whole bunch of coincidences just keep happening, but. Valela had staff, so we didn't know why he was wearing a black hoodie and black pants in the summer in Hermosa Beach, right? Just all black and like not like like the black tights you see people wearing, for practice in the morning, and no one knew what was up. And we served Evan 3 times, and we jumped into the 4. He's like, I'm just gonna hit the cross anyway,
Mhm.
right? I'm hitting line. I'm hitting. You left me this much, bam, bam.
Yeah.
No, I'm not talking rolls.
No.
I'm talking shots that off the court look like you can dig it, but when you're on the court and you're close like I was in
Yeah.
real time, I'm like, okay, that's moving fast, and
Yeah.
we're not messing.
He's hitting his
That was a
he-
bracket that had
yeah.
Buttinger and Friend. That was a bracket that had Cervantes, who could ruin anyone's day in a qualifier. Matt Lures, Max Martin. Like, I'm describing tiers
Yeah,
of
I
levels. I'm not
gotcha.
trying to insult him,
No, I
but we went
understand.
through a lot just to
Yeah.
get to that play-in.
Yep.
And I'm like, we ain't messing with this guy right now.
No, and there's a difference between
if he's gonna beat us, it's gonna be on the option.
and there's a difference between hitting your shot and shooting your shot, right?
Right.
The whole idea behind shots is get the ball to the ground as fast as possible, and that's what he does.
Yeah.
Like, and that's where I remember, going back. Obviously, like, we can make all the excuses in the world, like, coming through the qualifier and then the first day, and then now we're into the second day, we're into Sunday, right? But like, we were trying to do all kinds of stuff, trying to play that high line ball, and it was just coming fast. And like, I think John was a little bit gassed, and rightfully so. You know what I mean? But it's just like, and we just had a hard time picking it up because it was fast and crisp. Everything he did was fast and crisp. And I'm like, I like this kid.
He's a tempo guy,
Dude. I love this kid.
I think he thinks it's good for his energy efficiency. If you see some of these tempo guys, I can name a bunch of them. Like Miles Evans has warmed up to it. He used to just like the high set, and now he's just, you're thinking less, just look, react.
Yes,
attack,
and that's I mean that's what I resonate with, because that's what I was like as an indoor player and as grass player. It's like, push me to the pin, like, fast. You know what I mean? Because I need that momentum. Like, there's different types of jumpers, and I gotta explain that with my blockers. Like, some people can hold in that squat for a long time and spring up like extremely well. Other people don't have that type of jump, right? So, and so like that's what works for him, and I mean, if you can keep a blocker moving and not give him time to set up on you on that high ball, like, your vision becomes a little bit quicker. Yeah. There's all kinds of like truth to it,
especially if they haven't scouted you.
That's it.
Look, you're gonna at certain levels, you're gonna run into two opponents.
Sure,
opponents that haven't scouted you, they don't see you coming.
Yep,
and the people who play you over and over and over again and make the same mistakes against you, in which case they'll never be great players. Right?
Yeah.
Those guys will hit a certain level and then they'll stop.
Because you can't adjust.
And we can name names. I ain't doing that right now, but we can go through 6 years of qualifiers, middle of the qualifier, top of the last play-in to the bottom of the main draw, that kind of hit a plateau.
Yeah.
And because, again, the conversation comes neck up. Here we go again, man. Right?
Yeah.
I think the neck up is begging us to have that dialogue, but I wanted to save that for college, for Bakersfield and that. And that's the other type of person.
Yeah.
And you're just like, I can't believe you're playing the same team, and they're doing this, and you're letting them.
Yeah.
That's not.
You have to make those adjustments on the fly, right? And it has to be so fast. Good teams do that. It has to be that way. And if you can't do it, you're not going to be successful, because it's like maybe 2 or 3 points go by and that's it. Like,
right.
How many games are won and lost by 2 points? A lot, right? So like, even sometimes in our practices, like, it's like, all right, I'll go back through and I'll watch our film, and it's like, we need to play for these 2 points right here. So we'll develop practice around how are we going to pick up 2 more points.
Right. So let's talk about Bakersfield a little bit. Guys, for these in the comment section, don't forget to smash that like button. Okay, hit subscribe if you want to watch some of the videos. I have a whole bunch of live streams this weekend that viewership wise was appreciated. Yeah, we got Wexley this afternoon, and I got Kristen Nuss tomorrow, guys, and I got the Wex man. We're gonna talk more more beach from this weekend and more beach to come. But I got this fantastic gentleman to reflect on some of the old school stuff. Grass, and your second year coach at Bakersfield, right?
Yeah.
Is it second year?
It is. This is my second year.
Who was your predecessor? Was he
Cesar?
And he's at LMU.
He went to LMU, but then he just bounced from LMU and took a junior college indoor job out in Florida.
John should pick up Alex Amelon. There's the guy in the whatever that's not, this high level player.
That job's out there.
But I've seen this kid coach.
Yeah.
Because he's on the Strand.
Yeah.
He doesn't call it like some people are calling it for when he's out there with an adult group. He's out there with kids.
Yeah.
I believe he's with NB Sam with Mike Dodd.
Okay.
And the way his mind works. And guys, forget about star power because John didn't make the NCAA finals. Recruiting star power people. He had star power people in the beginning,
Sure.
and they couldn't even win their own conference, right? But what does he do? He enlists his brother, makes the semis, Joseph Mayer, right? He enlists Cesar, who's a savage coach, but we wouldn't call him well known, right?
Nah, yeah.
So
more on the indoor side, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if you need me to be the director of operations for you to have a winning season, that means you needed to, right? Come on, man. Yeah, Betsy and Aaron Mansfield. All right, so
you got a good staff there.
Well, they had to give me some cheddar. I don't do volunteer work, so
Right.
I knew there'd be some resentment for that too. But
it's a labor of love.
Yeah, well, I'm like, the money you pay me because I just had a kid.
Yeah.
The money you pay me has to be equal to or more than what I'm paying my nanny. Otherwise, I'm not going to pay you to work for you. So,
Yeah.
But I'm gonna jump off that. I want to jump on you, second year coach.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to play Bakersfield when I was at LNU. So I think Cesar was the coach back then. Talk to me about process and preparation and in the first year and things that you wanted to keep the same and some things you wanted to see differently.
So I gotta preface all this with like how I even got this job, right?
Yes. Wait, let me do that again. How did you get the job?
So long story short, or I guess probably not that short. I grew up in Bakersfield. Okay. So I grew up in Bakersfield. That's where I cut the teeth playing the grass tournaments and all that stuff, back in the late 90s. Well, early late 90s. I'm freaking old now. But so I'd been coaching club down in San Diego, and it was one of those things like shout out to Wave because that's a legit club down there. With,
Mr. Olson, huh?
Dude, Matt and Mike down there. Like they it's the best. It's the best down there.
Chin made of granite.
Dude.
Right? That chin, though. No one would shave. No one would shave if you had a chin like Matteo, man.
So
I play with him in moonlighting.
Yeah. And so one of my ex-partners from back in the day was still living in Bakersfield, and he called me up one day and he's like, "Hey, the Bakersfield job's open if you know anybody that wants to take it." And I'm like, "You know what, man? Like, I think I want that job." Because I had turned down stuff in the past because I was coaching club. My youngest daughter still plays. And so, I train people at the house, obviously. And, so we had all that going, but I was like, dude, something's tugging on my heart to take this job. So, I talked to my wife about it and she's like, you know what, just pray about it. Like, and if this is what's going to happen and where you're supposed to go, you'll get the job and we'll figure it out. And so I'm like, all right. So I submit the application and it happened so fast. That's how you know it was a godsend, right? Because it was
like Jeff Alzina with Santa Clara.
Dude, I submit an email with a coaching resume and within an hour I get a phone call from the assistant athletic director. And then we have a great conversation. I mean, obviously it helped that I grew up in Bakersfield, knew a lot of people and that sort of thing. And kind of like hometown boy comes back, so to speak. And then she's like, okay, I'm gonna have the AD call you. And then hung up the phone and AD calls me right away. I'm like, holy crap, this happened really fast. Right.
So this isn't a California thing. This is like a New York thing.
I'm like, okay.
I went this yesterday.
And so then it was like, okay, well, we're gonna set up interviews on a Wednesday. I'm like, all right. And sports administrator calls him back and she's like, okay, I'll put you down. We're gonna do them, start them at 1. I'll put you down from 1 to 5. I'm like, okay, like, all right, I'm down at 1. So I was just like, all right, well, maybe I need to figure out who I'm meeting with. Like, this is my first big go around at some Division I thing, right? And I'm like, well, I guess I better do my research. So I do all this stuff, and like I said, long story short, it turns out my interviews from 1 to 5. I was like, I thought I was just going on at 1, and it was like I just ended up getting hired on the spot. It was really kind of, I don't know, it was unbelievable, to tell you the truth. I'm like, okay, because I'm always the guy that's like, if I'm supposed to be there, open the door for me. If I'm not supposed to be there, slam it in my face because I'm dumb enough to figure it out. You know,
Lord, give me a sign,
dude. That's it. And that was it. I just kicked it up. It was like the Kool-Aid man running through the brick wall, right? Like, I was like, dude, I guess it's open. I guess I don't have to go through this little door. Like, I just got to go down. So that's how I got this job, right? And so I took it with a purpose, right? And my purpose and my vision of it was to build a legacy in Bakersfield. I'm like, you know what? Like, I want to turn this program into something that nobody expects it to be. Because when you think of Bakersfield, you don't think the hotbed of beach volleyball. You think it might be the hot riverbed because it's freaking hot out there.
Right.
But at the same time, like, you don't coordinate the two. So that's kind of how I got the job. And that was kind of the vision and taking it. And so the first year I came in in October, right? Season has already started.
Yeah,
Says
the
I was,
non-traditional season. Yeah.
Says I was gone,
Okay.
right? The assistant coach at the time, who wasn't going to be the beach assistant anymore, she was full-time indoor assistant. Like, she's trying to do the best she can and balance out indoor practice and beach. And like, so I walk into this thing like, I know one girl because I coached her since she was like 12, and I helped her get recruited to Bakersfield. But so it's like a full circle moment at that.
Wow.
And yeah, it was actually really cool. But like, there was just a free for all, and I was like, holy crap! Like, okay, now I got to come in. I got to try and figure out, what I'm doing administration wise, all this other kind of stuff, and then figure out the girls I have and their personalities. And like, dude, it was a very interesting first year, to say the least. However, like, it's one of those things, like, as a coach, you try and get to know your players, because if I don't have a good relationship with you, you don't trust me, right? And everything has to be built around trust. Like, my players have to trust each other. They got to trust me, and I got to be able to trust them.
Yep.
Right. And so, like, we go through all this stuff. We built, we have some people in charge, like kind of self-appointed captains and all this. And then, like, towards the end of the season, where I'm like, wait, something's off here. And so it was like, again, I'm giving you the short story, but like,
you don't need to give me the short story. It's a podcast.
Yeah, well, there you go. So like, I'm seeing small little interactions on and off the court between some of the upperclassmen and the freshmen. And I'm like, wait a minute, this ain't right. So we sit down, we have a big team meeting, and a lot of stuff comes out. And I'm like, well, that's not how we're running stuff here. Right. Like, I don't, like, my best players play. I don't care if they're the freshmen or the seniors. Right. There's no hierarchy here. Like, if you're a senior, like, awesome. That's great. You've been in a program, you understand the school. Like, these freshmen, they should feel comfortable going to you and asking for guidance when it comes to certain things. Like, dude, but that's it. Like, it stops there. Like, your job's to compete on the court, and whoever's better wins. Right. And so it was like, there was this division that was already established before I even took over the position. And I'm like, okay.
And in girls volleyball, that's a problem. And in some cases, it seems unsolvable. But I wanted you to finish.
We solved it by removing some players for the next year.
Good.
Because that's what it is. It's like, everybody talks about culture and talks about family and all this and that, and I'm like, and again, like, we're still building our culture. Like, I don't think you just come in and boom, right off the bat, culture is there. Like,
no.
It's one of those things where the players have to, like, I can tell you what I want, but they're in charge of it, and they have to enforce it.
Right.
Right. And so, it's just one of those things where everybody talks about, it should be a family. I'm like, okay. There's a lot of dysfunctional families.
Like that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, it should be a family in the most perfect sense, where, like, you're there to support each other no matter what. It's that unconditional support for the betterment of the family, for the betterment of the team. Right. And so it's like, that's an ongoing process that we still have to build. Like, so I'm heading up today. Right. This was perfect. I appreciate you getting me on here, because I'm heading up to Bakersfield today to have
the time, dude.
To have a team meeting with my players that are going to remain.
Well, before I say what I got to say, I like two kinds of people on the podcast: the interesting and the interested. You are an interesting person, and I talked about having you on for quite some time. Yeah. So it is my honor, duty, and privilege to give you a little pit stop en route to your overall mission. This is your side mission. I'll be your side piece for the afternoon, right?
Dude, I appreciate it, man.
No, because we were talking about it. You and I always had great conversations, and I'm like, are you kidding? Yeah. This is something a lot of people, I think, would be interested in. So I do want to cite as a pretext, and this as a club coach for girls, the number one rule is you never vilify a girl in front of the team
No.
that makes the team alienate her.
Right.
And as a coach, you make sure other girls don't do that where the other girls can see that.
Yeah.
Because what happens is they form these cliques,
Yeah. Yeah.
and the cliques, we is almost impossible to see.
Yeah.
You might see them leave and come together, and you might get hints, but you don't. Us men coaches
Yeah.
especially, we don't see it until it's too late.
Well, and that was part of the thing.
Like,
Like,
I don't know if you remember Bakersfield played Long Beach State indoor, right?
yeah,
You remember that whole thing with Furbringer?
I don't, but I remember. Yeah.
McKinsey actually posted on social media, said that they lost to Bakersfield in 3 at a home game,
Mm.
and both Furbringer's Joy were given 30 minutes to like pack up their stuff. They got escorted out by security.
Oh,
Right?
geez.
Everybody's wondering what happened, because
Yeah.
McKinsey's like, that's no way to get rid of people, blah, blah, blah. But I've been on the indoor college scene, and my guess is the only way that happened is there must have been an implosion after the Bakersfield loss.
Yeah. Wow.
And whatever happened after that loss, and maybe in the locker room, maybe wherever, usually the athletic director the coaches have to fall on that sword.
Yeah.
And oddly enough, the players get to stay, right?
Right.
So
right.
it happened. I was the head coach at John Jay, and
Yeah.
that's a long time ago, so I could talk about it now. That happened after we lost to Baruch in the conference semifinals. By the way, their first winning season ever, their first home playoff game.
Yeah.
I was only there 1 year, so that was their first home playoff game
Yeah.
and their first winning season in 11 years. So
Well, that's cool.
And I'm old school. I was at that time, I wasn't a woman's coach or a girls
Yeah.
coach. I was coaching everybody the same way.
Yeah.
And I didn't learn, like, I've been coaching 24 years, and I didn't learn until year 9. You have to make sure that if the girl's doing it, hey, you say, hey, that's your sister. You don't talk to
Yeah.
your sister like that. And you as a person, for sure, as a head coach,
Yeah.
for sure you don't do that
No.
unless you have the skill to do it in the way that motivates them.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like, I'm a father of 2 daughters, right? So that prepared me a lot for
Yes,
what was to
but
come.
you also coach girls.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which and who their psychological development, never mind their physical one,
Sure.
is on its way. And
Yeah.
if you don't do your job of recognizing a girl interrupted, you might create a girl interrupted.
Yep. Oh, and you're right. You're right. And
So-
you're dealing with 19 different personalities or
Right.
whatever, however many you're going to have on your team, right? And so, like, it's one of those things. Not everybody's going to get along. Like,
Nope.
people will naturally gravitate towards people that are like them, right? And then you're naturally going to kind of offset yourself from people that maybe are not your cup of tea, right?
Right.
And so it's like trying to get people to understand, and that's why, like, the team bonding stuff is so important,
Right.
because you have to understand people on a personal level, especially if you're going to try and, reach a common goal. And that's going to be the best version of yourself as possible for you and for the team. And if you don't understand people on that emotional level, like how they are outside the court, you're never going to get them on the court. I've got players that are just freaking beasts on the court. That could go probably any top 10 school they want, but they stay.
Right.
Right, which is freaking awesome. Like, but off the court, oh man, great. On the court, like, no, get your stuff together. Let's go.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like, that's the mentality and that's the attitude, but not everybody understands it. And so they're like, oh, wow, man, she's hard on the court. I'm kind of scared to play with her. I'm like, dude, you should be stoked to play with her. Like, she's going to drive the best out of you. Right.
Do you see how this divides people? Like, and I think any player, any active player, anyone who's retired can coach. And I don't think that those guys, for the most part, are going to hurt anyone's game.
Right.
But I will suggest that there are levels to
Yeah.
how much they can help.
Yeah.
Can they help this much? Can they help that much? Right.
Yeah.
Did you want Magic Johnson, who had the salary cap to play with and the keys to the truck in LA?
Yeah.
Or did you want Jeff Van Gundy, who got the 8th seed to the finals, right?
Right.
So do you see the distinction between a guy who's never played in the league
Absolutely.
and who is one of the top 2 Lakers of all
Yeah.
time?
Yeah.
And John was that guy. Todd was that guy. When I saw you got the job at Bakersfield, I said, I said, if the girls understand him, I think he might be that guy.
Yeah.
You're a unique personality, but I think when people see where your heart is, you kind of have the John Mayer thing where the whole thought of them disappointing you would crush them. Like the whole notion that you would be disappointing
Yeah.
them. I don't know if you're playing to that like John does, because
No, I
John is like
mean,
one of the nicest guys you ever met. And I coached with him in 18
yeah,
and 19, and I never. It was the first drama-free season I've ever had in my entire coaching career for women. And
yeah.
for women, that's supposed to be impossible.
And a lot of that happens though off the court, because like that's one thing that I've noticed is that again within the cliques, like I'm the kind of guy. It's like I'm straight up and I'm honest. Like I'll tell you like it is. I don't necessarily sugarcoat it, but I'm not gonna rip you, you know. But it's like, you don't ever say something to somebody else that you wouldn't if that person was sitting right in front of you.
Agreed.
You know, and but that's what
an old school thing,
right?
huh?
Yeah, but that's what happens.
Mhm.
And then the people that you tell something to in confidence, they go and tell somebody else. So it's not in confidence, and then it gets back a month later to this person. Now you have this massive divide. Now people are like, "Wow, like I've just noticed our relationship was starting to pull apart as teammates and as friends," and it's just like, and that was a month ago that thing started brewing, and it's like, but nobody addressed an issue with each other, and it's like, dude, like. You gotta stop. Sometimes you just gotta stop talking.
Right.
You know?
Well, what's helped me is my degree in theater performance.
Well, there you go.
I'm able to examine the scenario,
Yeah.
play the certain character or whatever, and this and that. And
but it's understanding people too.
Yeah.
Right. And understanding what the
that's
situation
again, it
calls
goes back
for.
to the mental, right?
Yeah.
And finally, let's just go to the mental. I mean, I wanted to talk about process, which
Sure.
like what your non-traditional season is. I know you probably do like a first hour and then the second hour they do it on their own, so you can manage the time. Because that's what John.
Yeah, so I know John. Like, I think he splits up a lot of stuff. Like, so
Yeah.
you know, every
he'll
year
do like first hour. Like if it's 9 to 11, he'll do first hour, and then legally he doesn't want to be there 10 to 11.
Yeah,
and they kind of like scrimmage each other.
Right.
You know,
right.
he walks away, and that's the dirty little secret.
Because there's the compliance stuff, right?
Yeah.
There's always ways around it, you know, but you
Yeah.
can't. I mean, you got to hold to the line, right? So there's
Right.
a lot of rules and stipulations that I had to learn too, and I'm just like, what do you mean I can't just like?
This is why people don't want to coach college, right?
Oh, dude, like
guys, I'll wear my camera. All that glitter is not gold, guys.
Dude,
if you get what you want, you might not want what you get.
And I learned this early on, and it wasn't a compliance issue, but it's one of those things where, let's say you see a player out at a restaurant, right? They forgot their money, like. You can't go buy food.
I know.
It's just like, because now that's a gift, you know, and things are starting to change a little bit with the NIL, but I'm like, you gotta be kidding me, dude. I can't take the beach volleyball culture is taking care of people, right? And it's a tight culture. And now you're telling me I can't help my player out. I might as well just drop a $20 bill. Oh crap, look at that, pick that up. You know, but it's just like, you mean I can't just help you that way?
Yeah.
And so much of it, and that's what makes coaching so good. And there's so many good coaches.
Yeah.
It's because they want to help each other. They want to help each other get better.
But your life experience helps you with the strategic, right?
Yeah.
When I was in boot camp, I did boot camp at Fort Knox, and I'm going somewhere with this.
Yep.
Trust me, I'm not non-sec. I'm not gonna
yeah.
lead us into non sequitur hell here. We hated this drill sergeant in the beginning, but when we became men and soldiers and gentlemen, and everything you're proud to actually serve and wear the uniform for. By the time we got to the end of boot camp, we understood, because that's how boot camp works. They break you down, and then you become this man. And we wanted to do something for him. I think he liked Tangeray, or like some kind of like different alcohols.
Okay.
And one of the drill sergeants are like, "Are we allowed to give you a gift?" And he's like, "What? Oh, so we're fishing buddies now, huh, son? Is that how it works? Huh? You think we're buddies now?" He says, "No, you can't do it. No, I am your superior officer. You are not allowed to do it." And then he leaves the room, and then without looking at us, like corner of his eye, like that, he says, "However, if I were to find a gift in the middle of the room and I ask who if it belongs to anybody, and you say, 'No, drill sergeant, we have no idea where it came from,' I just might take it." So enter the NCAA, right? Let's just give it to the mom in cash. Dude, give it to the kid. Look, we've broken. There's so many rules we don't know about. If you haven't, I know everyone's talking about, don't light each other up and talk about breaking rules. If you haven't broken a rule, you've been coaching 2 years,
Yeah.
if you haven't broken a rule in a 2 year period, then you don't know what rule you broke because you already. I guarantee you broke in a 2 year period. You broke a rule you didn't know about. I
Dude,
promise you.
that compliance
Dane
manual.
Blanton, who's
Yeah.
been as an assistant and learned no ropes, I'm sure has broken a rule as a head coach.
The compliance manual is like 400, I don't know, 35 pages.
Right.
Like, and you have to be an attorney to understand it.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I meant by all that glitter's not gold.
Yeah, no,
you
and
know,
it's
like
tough.
the reason why I offered a few months ago to be your assistant is because I told all of my friends, I said, if you want to affect the way college volleyball is played forever,
Yeah,
do not be a head coach. It's just too much. There's too much food on your plate. It's so exhausting. The place you feel the safest is on the sideline in the regular season, and when the match is over, all of these moving parts of everything you have to deal with, you're just like, okay, now I got to do that part, and that's why I said it's not for everybody, but I'm glad it's for you.
Yeah. And I don't think people quite understand. Like, I mean, I have a great assistant coach, right? And so she does a lot for me,
right?
I'm in I get to work about 6:30, and I leave about 8:30 at night. Because I'm doing so much. Like our budget is not great. So all the travel stuff I got to handle. And I'm price shopping stuff on everything on Expedia so that my girls can play a full preseason and they can play a full tournament season. You know what I mean? It's like, so there's a lot of things that have to happen behind the scenes in order to make things functional. And it's a lot of work. But for me, like, I know it's my calling, it's my purpose for now, right? It's where I'm supposed to be right now. And I've seen it. Like I've seen the growth in a lot of these players. I've seen how I've helped them on just outside of volleyball and personal level and different situations that they have, and I think that that's, so now it's like, that's what I'm driven by, right? Like it's those things where I can be like, you know what? I changed that person's life somehow.
Yep. Right. And again, I coached at Baruch with Justin, the Stack family, or Justin, not Allison. I was his assistant. She's the assistant at City Tech, got that head coaching job as an interim. City College did that for 2 years. Yeah. John Jay was an interim. My buddy Eater was joined the military, so that fell in my lap. So I've had NCAA experience at Division III and one and 3. But what John went through LMU because they were 6-13 the year before.
Yeah.
And then when I joined them, more coincidences, we happen to finish 22-14. It just so happens. Yeah, I'm like the Forrest Gump, right place, right time. All luck.
Doesn't matter how you got the job, is that you got it.
But I blessed the day that I was named director of operations and not an assistant coach and not a head coach. My function as a DOO was to tape all of the practices and games and email him 3 things that I liked and 3 things I need to get better.
Yeah.
Every day. John would sometimes share it with his assistants, and then he just stopped because Aaron and Betsy, they're, I don't want their job. I want them to do their freaking job, and I'm just going to say up front, she's definitely one of the reasons I don't want to be it anymore. Just didn't forget it. I said it. I might delete this later, but Aaron Mansfield is a savage. He was so much fun. He's a piece from a coaching family too.
Yeah.
And he's also a former player. He made the main draw with Theo Brunner.
Oh, that's
so that was my job.
Yeah.
I like John, I'm like, I ain't there to get nobody's coffee. Because I came in the most experienced coach.
Yeah, I got you.
So, I was already 13 years in coaching, when John was 3rd year with Santa Monica.
But I think that's what makes John a good coach.
Yes.
Right? Like it's that constant.
Oh, by the way, he's smarter than me. By the way, I left that season. Sorry, I'm let you finish your sentence, but I left that season I was in the head of a genius.
Yeah.
Just when I thought I had all the answers, this man changed the question every day and kept everybody on their toes.
Well, and that's it. It's like constantly looking for feedback, right? I'll ask my players, about certain things. And I want them to take charge of things. Yes, like I know what we need to work on, but like if I can be like, hey, what did you feel from this last tournament that you really struggled with or you need to get better at? It's like, all right, cool. Like I'll formulate a practice plan around that because it gives them that buy-in and that ownership. So you're always giving little feedback. And then my assistant coach and I will talk about like, hey, how did this work? What could we have done better? Like, so it's that constant feedback loop that helps you progress and get better. Like John, like he's always learning something.
Yep.
You know?
Let's finish with the mental a little bit,
Sure.
because I want to introduce something that I think both of us can have fun at. If you ask any coach at the club level, NCAA level, or just your fan
Yeah.
who has coached or understands coaching in different sports, how much of the game is mental, right? And you're going to get all these answers. Someone's going to say more than half. Someone's going to say 60%. Then you're going to have the diehards say, oh, 80%. Oh, there's some guys say, oh, 95%, right?
Yeah.
It's just like it, but we both agree as a given before I go on, everyone's going to say more than half of it, more than
Sure.
50% of it's mental.
Sure.
Agreed?
Yeah.
Okay. Now you ask the second question. How much do you implement teaching the mental in practice?
Yeah.
Crickets.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, for sure. For sure. And you're not wrong.
Do you want to take over? Is there anything you want to say about that?
Dude, you're absolutely right. Like,
Mhm.
and so like one of the things that I've noticed is like, and it varies on the level that you're coaching, right?
Right.
Like, because eventually physicality catches up, and then it starts to really separate things out through. But like, it's not really taught at the younger age, right? Some people do. Some people
Right.
do some work on it, right? And that's awesome. It's amazing,
Theater performance degree,
you
baby.
know. And
Sorry.
but that's
Mhm.
just it, right? So like for us, like we don't have a sports psychologist, right? That's me. I'm the guy that like gives my girls information. Like, hey, how do we do this? Like, I don't know. We'll go down this rabbit hole, sports psychology, but
I had a tinfoil hat. I had one for. I have another podcast called Political Orphans.
Yeah, I
And
remember
when we go
telling me.
conspiracy, everyone has a
Yeah.
hat of tinfoil.
Yeah.
So sorry, go ahead.
Well, so there's like these things, right? Like it's like, oh, journaling, meditation, all this and that, right? Okay. Maybe this is controversial, but at the same time, like not everything works for everyone, right? I hated writing, I hated reading,
Me too.
right? I'm not going to spend the time to sit down and write something, right? And so it's kind of like that's not me. I'm not going to buy into that.
You think I read everything behind you?
No, it's all there. It looks pretty. You know, I got books in my house too. I think yeah.
You're a coach. You got to look like one. Sorry.
Dude, give me the cliff notes or the book notes, right? That's how I do my stuff. But you know, it's one of those things where it's like not every shoe fits, and it's like if you find value in it and you find that it works for you, amazing, awesome, run with it, right? There are multiple techniques to solve the same issue, right? I'll relate that to like how I coach. Like you have to have multiple ways to solve the same problem. Right. So it's like you can't just if somebody's beating you on that high line, you can't just run 4. Right. You gotta make things look different ways. Maybe you sit in that pocket long and just right before that elbow hitch. Maybe that's how you run your 4 instead of dancing around.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
or maybe just do a little low and long behind the block and just like a 2 and just sit there. And you'd be surprised if the hitter doesn't even see
we'll
that.
run hook box, right? Where it's like, okay, we'll sit there. I'll sit there in a line and I'll make that jab step. I'll just slot right back.
Right.
You know, so going back to the mental side, it's like, okay, you have to have multiple ways to solve that same problem. And like, so I'll give my girls like my favorite guy out there, then maybe it's just, I don't know, I just gravitate towards was Michael Gervais. Right. So he's done some amazing things. And so I'll send my girls the podcasts. I'm like, look, listen to this. And I'm like,
listen to the Golden Globes.
Listen to it.
Right? Golden Globes
I'm
speech
like,
too.
Dude, I'm like, and send me back your notes on it. What did you find valuable? What are your takeaways from it? But what really separates it, and this is how we go to the mental side of things too, is like you got players that'll do it. You got players that'll BS their way through it. And then players that just won't complete the assignment.
Right.
And it's like, you just showed me where you're at. It's like, it's like everybody talks about being great. You can talk about all you want. What are you going to do for it? Right. So it's like, that's the difference. And I think that was the thought process of people sometimes when they committed to say Bakersfield was like, yeah, I get to play D1. Like, and now I'm here. Right. And it's like, yeah, you do. If you work your butt off for it.
Well, here's the challenge. There's a generational change from how we were coached.
Absolutely.
With a strict code, and you can't ask a coach why. A coach would be like,
"Dude, ask me why." If I can tell you why, don't listen to me.
When I came up, I asked my coach why. The coach goes, like, why? You know. But here's the challenge: as the generation changes, and you have to go through the why, you can't. And this is why I'm always open to new ideas. You can't have the same technique of teaching that is inconsistent with the generational change. For example, And the people have heard me say this in previous podcasts. Thank you for smashing that like button, guys. Don't forget to smash that like button. Don't forget to share and subscribe. This is my man from Bakersfield. Here's an example. It's two styles of theater. And for the people that heard this already, you're probably going to recite this with me. There's a style of theater where if you get up and move across the room, you need a reason to.
Okay.
Right? That's Stanford Meisner. That's Stanislavski.
Okay.
That goal, obstacle,
Okay.
tactics, expectation.
Gotcha.
Go.
Okay.
Then there's a style of theater where they're like, no, just get up, move across the room.
Yeah.
All right, come back. You didn't feel anything? Do it again. All right, come back. And through that exploration, you organically find your why.
Yeah.
So if this is generation Y, maybe you switch or implement a little of that checkoff and not so much just this single standard Stanislavski Meisner thing.
Yeah.
So that's acting, translate back to volleyball,
Yeah.
right? If it's a why, then you have to explore the why. For example, there's a ball, a dig out of system. Girl takes 2 steps and she stops.
Yeah.
Right? Now me, and I see your wheels turning because as the more I talk, the more you're like, yep. Me, I would go up to the girl or just the team. I might stop and I'm like, what's the probability of her touching that ball?
Yeah.
Right? Give me a number, any number. One girl's like 10%. I'm like, all right, 10. 15, yeah. 5, you're cute. 5, yeah. Okay, cute. All right, here's my second question. What is the probability if she doesn't go at all?
Yeah.
And they're like, it's 0.
Yeah.
I'm like, see what I'm
That's
getting
it.
at?
Yeah.
And the girls kind of, you do it in a way that's not so condescending, but makes complete sense. They're kind of doing this. And then somewhere in the game, after those lemons to lemonade practice drills you do, they do something that you taught.
Yeah.
And when they come up with it, it's the greatest feeling in the world for the girl to look at you and like your player to do like, we talked about that and I got it,
And that's the implementing of the stuff that you're trying to give them. Like, like you just said, like you never know. There's that saying, like you don't know until you go.
Right.
Right. And it's like, I mean, yeah. And see, that's the thing is I'm always like,
I had that long story. I could have just said that.
But I'm gonna balance it out because that's how I am as a person. It's like there's no one way and there's always a reason. So I question things a lot. Like, people like doing, whatever. There's that whole like ecological training and all that kind of. It's like I'm always like I didn't know any of that science stuff, right? But I'm like this stuff makes sense. I'm gonna do it this way. And so it's like, there's a time for a little bit of isolation, but there's also time to put you in practice. It's like, how do you get good at hitting a high line if you can hit a high line? But
you're not going to get better by not doing it.
Yeah, but you need to hit that high line from everyone on the court.
Yeah.
So let me introduce variability. How do we still get that ball back over to where it's supposed to go?
Yep.
Right? It's like, I didn't know there's science behind all that stuff, but it just makes sense.
And sometimes it doesn't. And sometimes the real scientists are us, right? Sometimes, again, I'll go back to Dane Blanton, right? Tina Gardina came in USC as his best player, right?
Yeah.
So Dane's a great coach, but I ain't giving him street credit for that. That girl came in the best player, right?
Yeah.
I mean, my cat could have coached her. You could have put a cat down there and just kind of licked his paws for like the 40 minutes and she still wins 2-0. But here's the point, and this is where Dane's genius happened. For year 1, he had Anna. Mm-hmm. She had Anna, but year 2 or 3 and 4, he tried to negotiate her changing her steps. And she tried it for a bit and then she reverted back to it. And then Dana's like, all right, cool. This defies the biomechanics of science and how, getting your range is supposed to work.
Yeah.
Right.
But if he gets the job done, he gets the job done.
And Dane, that's the genius of Dane. And depends on the person. If she's 14, no, you change your steps.
Yeah.
Right, because that's the building up process, right? But when you're 18 or when you're 20, by the time Dane got her, right, and that's the responsibility of other coaches that just see this athlete and see her jump from the waist up. They miss that, right? That's their responsibility. But Dane's genius was she's winning, no one wants to serve her, and we can go on with the examples, right? We can go Phil, right?
Yeah.
Or even gets a new coach. Is he that coach going to say, you need to change your steps?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like, if it's working, it's working. There are certain things that hold true, right? Principles that hold true. Like, I know, there are certain things about Tina that I think made it a little bit easier for me to read, right? But
because she's a goofy foot.
yeah,
Like
but
her cutback, it's going to be high line, like way
right,
above,
because you don't
and
have
her wrist away is going to be
exact.
yeah.
There's all those little things, right? But
Mhm.
not everybody's looking at stuff like that.
Well, coaches
You
are.
know, and well, coaches are, but players in match, when you're only coaching every 7 points, you can
Right.
remind them, hey, watch that. If that elbow don't draw back, she's shooting the ball, right? Lighten your feet up, get ready to run, because the ball should never be at you anyways, right? So it's just little things like that. But like, you got players that just on the other side that adapt from everything. I got to give a shout out to Therese and Megan, right? Like Megan was a blocker, right? Now she's one of the best defenders in the world.
Yeah,
You know,
and a
another
transition
USC
queen.
product, right? Like
And a transition queen. When
dude.
she gets a dig, you're like at the edge of your seat because you're like, I can't wait to see that ball pop off her hand.
And she's got a great inside out ball. I mean, it just, dude, she's phenomenal.
But you know that type of player we like to watch, the type of player that gets a dig.
Yeah.
When they get a dig, you're like this, right?
You're like,
because you're like Taylor, right? We
Yeah.
go back to Taylor. My favorite defender, Ahmed Tijan.
Yeah.
He gets a dig. He's not shooting.
Yeah.
He looking for, no matter where the set goes, he looking for something to blow up.
It's like swinging in transition.
Those are the guys
that it's fun, right? But
we can go on, right? But
yeah, I mean, we're going all over, but like at the same time, like back to that mental side of things, man. Yeah. Like not everything works for everyone.
Agreed.
And you got to meet people where they're at, right? And if you haven't figured out how to meet people where they're at, you're never going to get the most out of them, right? So I tell my girls this all the time. I'm like, look, like I treat everybody the same. And they're like, oh, yeah. No, because I treat everybody different.
Right.
I'm like, each one of you needs something different from me. And it's my job to try and figure that out. So our interactions on the court, off the court are going to be a little bit different. I got some players that'll come into my office just to talk and we'll sit in there for like 2 hours. It has nothing to do with volleyball, right? But I'm available for them, right? So that creates that bond where if I need to do something, they're going to do it. You know, and it's like,
well, that's the trust system, right?
That's it, right? And so like, I think that's why we were successful. Our first year in with 3 returners, right? 2 of them were on the 6s. We tied the school record in wins. We had 2 pairs that were like 28-6.
I'm actually going to look up your schedule as you're going.
Yeah.
Keep going. But
so that was our very first year, right? And the athlete in me is still upset that we didn't beat the school record and win because we should have, right? But that's the athlete. I tell my girls this stuff all the time too. I'm like, look, like you can hold on to those wins because you can always go back to them. Right. And know that you can do hard things, but at the same time, like you can't, you got to be able to let those losses go, but you never forget them because that's a driving factor of what you do the next day when you show up in practice.
Yeah. And I would suggest that practice is the process and preparation for that. So when the game comes, the moment's not too big, right?
It's a moment is just a moment, right?
Like a year ago, I coached Frank Field and Zep Purdue. I might have been the worst person for the job that day, right? Like Frank is an information sponge, and he kind of enjoyed it, and he's able to process that.
Yeah.
But Zep Purdue, I'm 90% sure that he suffered from what we call paralysis through analysis.
Too much.
For those of you at home, paralysis through analysis is where you get so much information you can't do ash.
Dude, no, that straight up, man. That is a real deal because I see it in practice sometimes too. There are certain athletes that want a little bit of feedback and then they'll go apply it. And there are athletes that when things start to struggle, they want more and more feedback. I'm like, you don't need that feedback. You already know. You have it right here.
I agree.
So it becomes that's the paralysis by analysis side.
I didn't mean to go through the Big West website. I wanted to go to yours because I had
I
had your Go Runner schedule. I just wanted to go through like some of the process, some of the losses, and then how the games that you bounce back on were just terrific.
I mean, like we joke about it now, but to tell you the truth, like we're like, oh man, shoot, we only beat ranked teams. Like it's just like, oh my gosh, like to me it was like
that sounds like a former player turned coach to me, man.
I mean, we had this year, obviously our win-loss ratio wasn't as good as I believe it should have been, but the people that we did beat, like nobody in their right mind expected us to beat it. It would be Georgia State like the second week.
Yeah.
They're like number 15 or something.
Yeah. And Georgia State always comes to play.
Dude,
no matter what, even when they have a bad season, that's a scrappy, that's coaching too, right? But that's a scrappy team, dude.
We had beat Pepperdine. It was the first time in school's history we beat Pepperdine. Yep. Right. Then we beat Boise State. Like
who's there? Sicoli? Marcio?
Yeah, Marcio. Yeah. All
right.
You know, and then so it's like these wins were good. And then we go beat Hawaii in our Big West Championship.
That's great. I'm looking at it right now. I just plugged it in.
Dude, but that's the thing. It's like this is what I'm trying to get the girls to understand is like when you go play free, when you can have that underdog mentality where nobody expects you to win,
Yep.
you just go ball and see what happens. Because now it's like you're not putting this pressure on yourself.
Who's it? Davis? Joe Rich?
No, he got let go.
It's too bad. He's a good coach. Maybe not ready to be a head coach,
Yeah.
but his
I think
coaching mind is like the actual ability to coach is
Yeah.
there, but maybe not.
I don't know.
I
Yeah,
don't
think it
like
was-
me.
think it
I
was
can
something
I
other-
can be a
yeah.
head coach. I just don't. I don't want your job, dude. To take you're a special kind to
Yeah.
someone, you
Yeah.
know. And at my age right now, maybe I don't have the ability, if not the desire, to do that.
Yeah.
My mind, I always think I had the ability to do anything, but
Yeah.
if you don't have the desire, how much does that diminish your ability? Right?
Yeah.
That pretty much takes your ability and drops it a whole level. And
Because you
now,
don't care, you know.
yeah.
So
Or you care too much.
or you care too much,
Yeah.
and then same thing. Then you're
Yeah.
just trying to push your personality or what you care about onto everybody else, and it's not what they care about.
Well, there's also the things that bring you to the dance that might be your strength and your weakness. For
Sure.
example, if you're interviewing me, right?
Yeah.
Let's say I want to be your assistant coach. You're
Right,
like, so
right.
Jason, what's your biggest strength?
Yeah.
My biggest strength is I personalize my work. I live in a video room like a hermit. I don't get exhausted
Yeah.
from it from the physical standpoint.
Mhm.
Just give me some coffee. I'll do a couple of 80 push-ups in
Yeah.
between, and I'm good. Now you ask me what my biggest weakness is. I personalize my work.
Yeah.
It hurts too much when you lose. You want it for them so bad that sometimes you may become a prisoner of the moment, where my theater performance, which is supposed to be real human behavior in imaginary circumstances, are now in real circumstances because it's not a show, it's real.
Yeah. It's the same thing with coaching. Like
Right.
from a player to a coach, it's like,
Right.
okay, fine. If we like, I can lose once on the court as a player,
Mhm.
but like if we get swept, I lost 5 times,
Yeah.
all at the same time, right? And so
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
I'll give you an
There's-
example. I needed to take a break. I haven't coached in juniors or anything. And like, I was with Evolution, Duncan
Yeah,
Avery,
okay.
off and on, because he's the only guy I actually went to for a job.
Gotcha.
In my whole coaching career, he's the only guy I went to because his integrity. I just wanted to work for good people.
Yeah.
So all of the years I've been coaching, 24 years, he's the only guy I came to for a job.
Mm.
Everyone else came to me. But there was a kid who was not very fast and not very thin. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Big, heavy
Sure.
set kid. And he turned around and the ball came at him. And instead of going for it, he just kind of it bounced off his foot. Didn't even care. And I'm by myself. And I said to myself, I bet if there was a effing cheeseburger down there, you would die. Right. And I looked to my left just to make sure no one heard me. Right.
No.
And I'm always by myself and the team's all the
Sure.
way over there. Right. So I'm like, cool. I'm looking at the crowd of kids and I'm
Yeah.
like, no one heard me. Right. And then at the end of the crowd, the very end of the crowd, all the way on the other side of the crowd, this kid goes,
Jeez.
and I said, he heard me.
Yeah.
I can't,
Yeah.
I can't do this anymore. I
Yeah.
can't do this right now.
You got to be in the right space.
You know,
for it, man.
again, I'm not trying
Yeah.
to make this about me or a story
No,
about
yeah,
me, but
yeah,
this
yeah.
was recent.
Yeah.
Where, emotionally, I was too invested. I crashed.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that kind of team.
Yeah.
You go in knowing it's a kind of team that you want them to get to enjoy the sport. You want them to
Yes.
come back, and you have to teach that level of that team a certain way and not be this high level, demanding person
Yeah.
where, you might alienate the parents, because not the kids.
Sure.
The kids were fine. The kids came to every single. I was mean and I was not. Well, I was strict, but none of the kids didn't. At no point did they not look forward to coming to practice.
Yeah.
But I didn't. I needed to step away. I'm good now
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I got a great support system, and maybe I'll coach again. But I'm enjoying talking smack, and
And you can't take those losses personal.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the hard part.
But that's the strength and the weakness.
Yes, it absolutely is. Absolutely is. Because the player in you wants to drive back. Like, I remember losing. We were at LMU. We played Utah, LMU, and Northridge, and we did not perform well against
Hold on,
Northridge.
I see you, G, but I'm gonna get your comment in a minute. But I want you
Oh
to
yeah, we
keep
did
going.
not perform well against Northridge. Like, in my mind, like I was burnt.
Right.
And that the van ride home for me, I'm thinking about these losses, thinking about what we didn't do, what we need to work on, and then you have some people that process things a little bit different. And it's just like, for me as a player and as an athlete, like I'm driven and I want the best for my girls, and I'm going to do anything that I can for my girls to make them better. Right. And then but you have to surround yourself with players and people that want that exact same thing. Otherwise you drive yourself nuts.
Yeah, you do. And the support system helps.
Yeah.
There are so many people that have less coaching experience than you that have that winner's mentality in a good way, the way
Yeah.
you're talking about,
Yeah.
like Jose Loyola.
Yeah.
When he was coaching Reed Pretty and Trevor Kraft at Manhattan Beach
Yeah.
Open, I didn't think much of him as a coach. I did know he's a winner, and I know when you needed him to say something match point, like nah, you're blocking Reed or whatever, and this and that,
Yep.
like his feel. And the reason why he became such a good coach is because he was able to have that bring the winner's mentality, and then be part of
And
the
it
process.
ties
And
back to the mental side, though,
right,
because sometimes I know, even when I was coaching Megan and Therese, it's like, yes, they're professional athletes and they know what's happening on the court. I'm seeing certain things where I'm trying to pick up a
yep,
couple different things, give them a couple different options. But a lot of times it's like, I'm going to go back and instill confidence,
right.
and I'm going to root and cheer and get them going, because
And beach
it
is like that.
feeds it. Right.
Yeah,
And so it's like, you know what, if I do that and it gets you in that little bit of a better headspace where you can go score this next point, I did my job.
Matthew McKevitt says, Coach Voodoo. Coach
Matt.
Jiva says, I didn't know Andy before today, but damn, I'm so glad I spent time to learn about him. He's awesome dude. Thanks, Jason. Hey,
Oh man, that's
you're
cool.
welcome, man. Yeah, get everybody
Thank
again,
you.
get
Yeah.
everybody to smash that like button. You know why? Because this podcast, like the option itself,
Yeah.
is growing and it's doing good things.
Yeah.
And I'll brag and say we're the most viewed podcast in the sport of beach volleyball.
That's legit.
By a lot, by the way.
Yeah.
And that's just the YouTube. I wasn't even talking about
Yeah.
but the decision to go live, to keep up, to stay ahead, and to keep up with
Yeah.
all these other great podcasts, I think is going to help me. It's like WWE and WCW.
Yeah. Yeah.
When WCW started telling everybody what was going to happen, because
Yeah.
WWE was pre-recorded, so WCW would watch it and then tell everybody what was good. They would spoil it because they were the same night, so it forced Vince McMahon to go live and not take delay. Is the same way I'm doing the live streams this weekend.
Yeah.
It worked. Like pre-recorded, it was better than pre-recording, and I'm hoping the podcast will too.
And I will joke and I'll say everything relates back to volleyball, right?
Right.
And it's like you have to stay ahead of the curve.
Yep.
Right. So I'm so fortunate that I was able to help Andy and Miles early on, and Megan and Therese, along with Mike Plotchek. That's where the jump setting and the options as a thing came in, right? And so when I took the job at Bakersfield, day one, I'm like, all right, girls, we're jump setting, we're running options. And they're like,
all day.
Huh? They had no, and I'm just like, yeah. Yep. It's like, I'm going to train you to play like professional athletes. I don't expect you to be professional athletes, but we're going to work at this, and we're going to open up opportunities to score. We're not the biggest, most physical teams. Our game has to be different. And dude, that's what we did. In the first year out, we surprised Cal Poly, didn't have an answer for the jump setting and the routes we were running. Hawaii, same thing, had zero answer. Second year in, when we go preseason, oh, guess what? Now you got Cal Poly running routes and jump setting. You got Stanford's doing, and I'm just like, I told the girls, look, we're going to change the way that NCAA beach volleyball is played. And not
because it's going to change anyway.
It's going to change anyways. It's not that we changed it.
No.
The girls will forever hold that they were the first ones to do it as a system. Right. But it's like, and they will take that with them to the day they die.
Of course.
And so that's something for them to be proud of. But I knew it was coming. It's just how it goes, and it's like, you have to stay ahead of the curve.
You really do.
And at the end of the day, fine, you don't have to run it as a system, but it is a tool. Because if you have a partner that's not siding out well, and you can get them out of jail by hitting that option ball, or go up and then jump set that ball with no block out to the pin to get them to side out, that's it. Because sometimes all you got to do is get out to receive.
Yeah, I see your question, Jiba. I'll table that thought for a minute. Jeff, it's definitely a question I want him and me to answer.
Yeah.
I'd like to say that you're not going to get, like we said before, you're not going to get better at it by not doing it, right? And when you get the honest reps, and when you have focus-based practices that make people, like if they're struggling in a game, if they remember their training, they revert back to something that helps them give the least amount of points, right? Because
Yeah.
you can make one mistake and it could be 4 points, or you can make one mistake and it can just be one, and you side out right away, right? And
Yeah.
that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
That's the non-traditional season. That's the days. Today's pass day. Today's jump set day. Today's this or whatever.
Yeah.
And I will just offer a style of training that I
Sure.
do, and see if you something that you do or might do
Yeah.
different. One of the cool things I learned from John that I didn't do as a longtime coach, like passing practice, he would assign people passing assignments or passing focuses.
Gotcha.
So in juniors, you would give it to them, and college players, as you continue to work with them, they kind of come up with their own. So for example, if it's a passing drill, let's say we're just doing down ball, free ball.
Okay.
An example of a passing focus would be hold.
Okay.
Have that little example for the coaches at home. That exaggerated, just hold your platform out there. That little dorky thing where you leave it out there for like a half second. Or a
little different
longer.
cues. Yeah.
One move to the ball. So if you're an angle passer, not a midline passer, one move to the ball. Midline passers don't do that because in the traditional sense of the word, midline requires 2 moves. So don't practice one move to the ball if you're teaching midline. I mean, it's 3. Another one would be straight and simple, straight platform, simple pass.
Yeah.
No J hooks at the end like this. This, right? And not this.
Yep.
When you see the guys, trying to clown, you see them clowning Pepper like they're not taking it seriously.
Yeah.
So the girls, and I'm going to finish in 20 seconds. Sure. The girls will come to practice and either have a good day or they'll get their butt kicked.
Yeah.
But they will leave practice, be like, hey, did I hold? Did I hold in this and that? And we as coaches, if you assign a girl hold as a focus, you can, as if you're out there by yourself, you'll see it. You'll see a whole bunch of balls moving around, but it's easier as a coach to scan.
Yeah.
Like if you have a bunch of girls or whatever, you'll scan it.
Yeah.
As a coach. And if you don't see it, you come up, hey, what was your focus? And if she goes, you smack her over the back of the head because she forgot. Don't smack her, but you know what I'm saying? You forgot, didn't you? Now let's use this time.
But that's the purposeful practice stuff, right? Like everybody has a different cue. Like I might say, whatever. I use like, shape your angle with your shoulders. Right. So as you're tracking, you're shaping, and then you're not getting together too early, and now you're swinging. Right.
Yes, because nobody wants to run around like this.
Dude, like it's not efficient, right?
Sorry, it's not funny. What am I doing?
But it's true. It's true. And then sometimes it's not until
I see you, Aaron.
Sometimes it's not until video where you're showing the player, look, like your first step, you're already here, and the ball hasn't even crossed the net yet, and now you're out over here. It's like, no, like go try and catch it. So instead of maybe like shaping your shoulders, maybe that's a cue for somebody that they get.
Yeah.
Or getting that outside leg around the ball if it's outside your body. Maybe it's like, hey, go try and catch that ball.
Right.
Same concept, just different cue, and it might resonate better with them. Right?
And the cool thing is that you're talking about the entire process from start to finish, right? Where the original thing, when I was talking about hold, when you finish, you know what happens? You get to hit the rewind button.
Yep.
And see how you got there from what you were talking about to this, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So am I facing forward? Look, like see where my hands are, and now see where my forearms are?
Right.
They're facing where? They're facing up. Meaning they could probably still go to the target. I got skill, but I just invited it, right? I just invited it to do the other thing, right? So I like that. And I think in non-traditional season, just every practice, like if you're doing a setting thing. In system, square to the net, out of system, square to the pole. We as pros like the square to the antenna. You know what happens? You end up jamming our partner, or they have to run and they end up doing this. And you can finish this sentence for me because you've seen it, right? And seen that mistake. So finish your thought because we have fan questions.
Oh yeah, no, cool. I mean, it's just like there's
so glad we're doing this live.
Everybody has something a little different that resonates with them. Like I like people want to say like, oh, I want to be a good passer. Okay. What does that mean? You know what I mean? Like, break it down for me. Like, oh, well, like, I just want to be able to get the ball. Okay, well, where does it start? It all starts with your feet, dude. Like, and how it starts with reading that serve too. Like, what are you watching that you're going to get information? Everything is information, right? Even the losses are just information. Yeah. Right. And it's like, what are we doing with that information, and how do we put it into practice to get us to be the best passer we want to be?
But it also helps the kids mentally.
Absolutely.
Right. I hate to keep going back to Mayer on this one, but again, I came in there with 10 more years experience. And I mean real experience
Sure.
with New York, Serbian, Russia. Like New York is all kinds of players.
Oh,
Dominican
yeah.
Republic, 10 times more experience. But I left in the head of a genius.
Yeah.
The man's a genius. So one of the things he said is, he says, you can come to practice, do a bunch of things you're good at, right?
Yeah.
And get a whole bunch of reps
Look, like ice
in,
cream reps,
and you
you
leave.
know?
And he says, but do you get better? And they were like, no. He's like, well, not always no.
Yeah.
He says, maybe, but you just open the door for maybe not.
Right.
He says, or you can come in with these focus-based practices,
Yeah.
hitting, elbow back, elbow forward, or whatever you teach,
Sure.
but you don't pick one at the same, or two,
Yeah.
or two or three, just pick one. Play volleyball around it.
Yeah.
And after each drill, remember your drill.
Yeah.
And if you had a bad day, you left with a win.
And
You
it's-
left, right? You
Yeah.
left with an improvement
Yes.
that's going to help you in a real game impulsively, not thinking about it, like impulsively.
It's like we said, did you get 1% better? Like, that's all it is. Like,
Yeah,
did I get
just-
better?
Come
Did you-
on, man, just the
Dude,
one.
Just the one. That's it. Like, and
That was me with the scoreboard this weekend. I
Yeah.
couldn't even keep score.
but I'm like back to John, and he'll back me on it. But it's the same thing. It's
Aaron,
like,
stay with us. We're coming to you guys next
But
because I want him to finish,
you know,
because I've been talking more than him.
It's just one of those things where it's like, okay, how to get better at, I don't know, let's say, like, we like to serve line to line or line to mid, mid to mid, like they're some of the most effective serves. But how to get better at passing line to line? You got to pass to your line, right? Yeah. But if I only set this up in isolation where I'm just serving your line, you are naturally going to cheat towards that line.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're not even standing, and you're not working out. Now you're passing that ball just outside of, like, off of one leg, right? Outside your leg, instead of like out over here where you really need to freaking work.
Yes.
So it's like, you have to mix those things up. You can't just go, I want my servers. I'll tell them, like, we're focusing on line to line serve, but like, I want you to serve the seam too. And I want you to serve short, because if you're not reading it, you can't get there fast enough to pick it up. And now you're still in the same issue. Right. So it's like, I know there's all this science stuff behind it. I think that's probably that ecological thing that John, like, talks a lot about. But at the same time, like, dude, like, you can't just isolate something.
Yeah, right.
Like,
Yeah.
because then, yeah, maybe your cue of holding your finish. Yeah, I held my finish. Well, maybe that wasn't the problem.
Right.
Maybe the problem was I wasn't tracking it well. And what happens when that ball rises on me?
And this is where being a qualified coach exceeds all the other. It exceeds biomechanics. It exceeds fundamentalism and tradition, because, like you said, it's not a one-stop shop. It's not a one-size-fits-all, because of the personalities, because of their body form, because of the nutrition, because they come in with a different mentality. They could be girls interrupted, right? You have to be some psychologist and coach,
and
you
never know what they came to practice with that day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, you want, ideally, yes, you want everything to outside the world to
Yep.
stay outside when you step foot in that gate.
Isn't it? But again, this is what makes Bill Parcells a genius.
Yeah.
The guy, like, I'll go back to theater. If my girlfriend dumped me, but if I'm in a play that I have to do 100 shows and people are paying the same amount of money to see every performance, I don't want to sound cold, but they don't care.
No.
You care, and if you prepared them properly, they can have that bad day and still perform. We're not machines, we're people, but perform as close to where they're supposed to be as possible.
Yes.
And before and after the game, if you have the experience, if you're qualified, and I hate saying this because I guess I'm calling out some of these coaches.
Sure.
If you are what you say you are, you all the time you put it, you have to know this, you have to see this, you have to diagnose this.
And you need to understand that people are human, right? And so, like you just said, so, like, okay, let's say something did happen, right? And I came to practice with it. Maybe I got to have
line to line, Hermosa line. McDevitt, go ahead.
I got to, that's so funny. Don't know, because I know what he's talking about. It's one of those things where, like, maybe I need to have a grounding cue. Like, maybe it's feeling the sand between my toes, and that helps me reset. When my mind starts to wander, because it happens in a game sometimes. When my mind starts to wander, I need to reset myself to get myself back to that present moment. If I don't have that tool, I'm gone.
Yes.
Right. So same thing with acting. Like, when you step on that stage, like, maybe it's those lights. Maybe it's like the first glimpse of the audience. It's like, all right, I'm here. This is where I'm at.
But you're going to have a technique that always brings you back instinctively.
And it's
I mentioned hold again.
Yeah.
Like, if I keep shanking balls backwards, I've seen Miles Partain, and I used to do this when I played indoor.
Sure.
If I missed a pass, I would step off the court, mimic my own motion.
Yeah.
Again, like, it's kind of this nerdy thing, understanding the science or math in it.
Yeah.
And then boom, rewind. This is why you don't see great players get ace. It's so rare they get ace
And
twice.
Miles is like that. So I mean, I know we're
I
probably
love
running
this
out of time, but like,
no, we're not. We have time. It's just
all
that the comment section, like I've never seen it blow up like this. I had to scroll because when we go, I have to
Yeah.
scroll to get the most recent one. This is, dude.
So like, here's a little insight. Like, so
Yeah.
again, like I mentioned, Mike was Miles and Andy's head coach. So
Right.
there's times where at practice where like we'd spend an hour and Miles was simply trying to figure out his footwork pattern to get around Andy in a specific situation so that he make the best contact.
Amen.
I remember staying with him for an hour after practice on a bench, hitting the same high line shot because he was trying to figure out the most efficient movement low to the ground to dig one ball.
Yep.
And so it's like, that's why I'm like, I always go back.
That's process and preparation.
That's process, right? And because you're playing for that one ball.
Yep.
You pick up that one ball, that could be the difference in the match for you.
Amen.
You know what I mean? So like people have to think that way. Again, it circles all back to the mind.
I wrote down everything we talked about in case we want to re-explore that, but I
think we need like three or four of these.
No, but
man.
I've never had a live stream where I had to scroll back up to get the comment to catch up. So Jiba, Jay, out of respect for Coach Andy, I don't want to hijack the podcast. Sorry, you're good. That we already read that. I didn't know Andy before today. We got that. Oh, serious question for Andy and you, Jason. I refuse to support the AVP league going forward, but I want to support the players that didn't make the league, and I have empathy for them. Thoughts? You want to do that one first?
Man, and that's tough, dude. Like, I do too. I think that's one of the things that makes like great humans is being empathetic for people,
right.
and it makes great coaches too. Like I'm not calling myself a great coach by any means, but like I'm very empathetic towards people, and like that's why like. I mean, naturally, you're more empathetic to people that you know, right? Than people that you just don't know or you see in passing kind of thing. But, you know, like it sucks. For a lot of these people, it sucks because they had 3 opportunities to play.
Yeah.
And it's like, and the money is gone, right? You cannot make a living unless you're the top 8, if that.
You're going to have to travel. Yeah.
You're going to have to travel, right? So there's expenses to that.
That's a Corey Diddy's going to China. And...
Yeah. It's international is where the money's at right now. And it's just like, it sucks for these guys because I love the sport. I'm passionate about the sport and I want to see it grow. I just don't feel that we're in that right place right now, and it sucks.
And I was sad for Corey, and I keep mentioning him because there was a moment of vulnerability because he's always been, I ain't got time to complain, move on to the next, right?
Yeah.
The Atlanta Gold Series, the AVP, when he didn't qualify, he lost the play-in.
Yeah.
He didn't get drunk and feel sorry for himself. He got on a plane and then a train and then walked to a rental car, barely made it to Seaside. I felt like people just threw him into the middle of the whatever as the game started and lost the first set. And won the match and got, which was a bid for Manhattan Beach. So he's always been that on to the next one. And again, going to China is a consistent thing. So, but I really love that he shared his vulnerability. So I like Coach Jiba. I like that you're ahead of the game of never abandoning the players, right? Because it's very easy for people like me and other people who have our own aspirations to get ahead. Like my agenda, like I coach and I do all these things, but my agenda was to be a color commentator. The place of my choosing. And right now there's a door that they're on one side, they're on the other, where I've done everything else, checked all the other boxes, New Orleans or whatever. And so there's a resentment that, with respect to Victoria Dennis and respect to Robert Sparrow, who is amazing announcer. But my inner belief in myself and where I think they are and where I think they am, there is a little bit of contempt and resentment. And for a while I took it out on the players, right? But you know what happened? You know what my wife said? How'd you build your podcast, dude? When you called them, who picked up the phone and said yes? All of them. Except 1 or 2, and that's okay.
Wives are so smart.
Trevor Crabb picked up the phone and said yes. Theo was on the podcast, his 5th time, right? Kristen Nuss is on tomorrow. That's her 4th time. And as far as like doing podcast alone, I think I'm it. This might be her 2nd. So she says, this is not about the players. Don't, focus. So Coach Jiba, I'm glad you're ahead of the game, and I'm glad you're smarter than us on that. Aaron Wexler, did I miss the AVP conversation? Would love to hear his thoughts. Yeah, you're gonna have to rewind. That was our first half hour. We meant to go college, right? In the mental first, but we got caught up in it.
I'm sure that's gonna be a great guest for you too.
Club growth, NCAA. would love to hear his thoughts on overall youth club growth, NCAA and AVP success.
Mm.
I think in terms of the women, I can speak on it, but I actually have an expert in the room with me,
So,
right?
well,
I'm not the appeal to
sure,
authority
sure.
person, but it would be
There's,
malpractice to
yeah,
not let you answer that.
I love to see the growth in the sport, you know, and I think there, as the years go on, there's gonna be more and more girls that just commit earlier and earlier to beach only, right? Which is great. And there's so many good coaches out there, right? They're training these girls at elite levels. Wave, Spiger, MB like some of the top in the country just here in California,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
You know, and
I did
so
that for 3 years. Yep.
yeah, you know, so
5.
they're
Yeah.
getting good training. Like this is a whole rabbit hole to go down, but like now with the way the NCAA is, with the transfer portal and all this other stuff that goes on behind the scenes, like it's going to be harder and harder, I feel, for some of these girls to start getting recruited right out of their like June 15th of their junior year, because the transfer portals are a real deal.
Yep.
You know, and that's one of the things that I think a lot of players forget. And this is great advice. Well, this is my advice. I mean, take it with what
Right.
you will, but like when you get to college, it is different. Like it is not juniors,
No.
right? It's like you're not paying to be there. If you're fortunate enough, you're getting paid to be there. It's probably the most money you will ever make
Right.
as an athlete.
Amen.
Right. And so it's like you need to prepare yourself going in. It's training 5 days a week. It's lifting 4 days a week. Like, and if you're not sore, I'd say this in general, like if you're not battling something, chances are you might not be working hard enough.
No.
Like
Well, there's without
it's abuse
Frederick
to your
Douglass,
body.
without struggle, there is no progress.
Dude, it's abuse, right?
Right.
It's abuse to your body because it is nonstop.
Yeah.
And like I tell my girls all the time. I'm like, look, like if you're not traveling, let's say you're not on the travel squad,
Right.
and you're just showing up to practice, like you got to do more than that, dude. Like it can't be like I'm going to go to practice and get better. Everybody's going to practice and everybody is getting better. Like you have to work outside of that.
Right.
So yeah, we have our 4-hour window per day when we're in our 20-hour block. But like, you know what? If you're struggling with setting, you got the combination to the courts, you got the combination to shed, go out there with somebody and work on setting. Like you have to do more than what's expected if you expect to break in.
And we can definitely have a conversation about asking girls, asking themselves do they want this to be the dominant part of their college experience?
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
There are some girls they don't want it to be, but they're also talented and
absolutely.
And again, it takes a skillful coach to work that or whatever. My wife, went to Harvard.
Yeah.
But high school, she won 2 state championships and she was a top 50 tennis player and she was recruited to play both. And to her credit, she realized she did not want that to be her 10-month or 11th month out of her 12-month college experience.
No.
Now, me, if that were me, I would want that to be my 13th month out of a possible 12-month experience.
Different people,
so
right? Different people, different athletes, and like it's the same thing. Like some of these girls might be coming in going like, oh yeah, like I get to play D1 and then I want to have my college life and go to parties and do this and that. And I'm like, okay, like everything is a choice. Right. You don't miss out on anything. You just make choices, right? I choose to value this thing over this thing.
Right.
I choose the value to stay out late to go to this party, or I choose the value to get good recovery so I can show up to practice and be better the next day.
Wow.
Right. So it's like, it's a choice, and everybody's going to make different choices based on their personality. And you're going to have 19 of those. Right. But as a coach, I have to manage people. And that's one of the hardest things is like, how do you get the best out of somebody knowing that they are making choices? And sometimes, unfortunately, they're making choices to the detriment of themselves as a player. And it's like, how do I get you to realize that? And how do I pull you out of that?
Right.
You know,
Aaron Wexler said, move your mic up a little bit.
Oh, sorry. There you go, Aaron.
You could hear that. Now you're in stereo.
Oh, there we go.
If you feel like you're screaming in your ear too loud, your volume, you see your volume on the 4 knobs.
Yeah.
You can navigate.
Gotcha.
Because me, I'm old and I'm already deaf, so this is already like the Burger King like.
There you go.
No, good, because mine I can hear myself, and I'm always, my theater voice is always going to come loud and clear, but I want to make sure we're in an equal thing.
Yeah,
so
I appreciate that.
They're not turning it up when you're talking.
Yeah, but that's, hopefully that kind of gives an insight to that question a little bit. There's so much more that you can unpack out of that, but
Would love to hear his thoughts on how he coaches, advises his players, and how to best set themselves up for NIL success. You just answered that. Wow. You just Eminem the comment section. Aaron Wexler, by the way, I respect the hell out of you in my world. You're kind of a big deal.
Oh,
There
man.
you go. We got
Thank
a little
you. Thank
love
you.
in the comment section for
Yeah, that's
Aaron,
cool, man.
to you, and back to Aaron. Casey
cool.
said, I love this.
It's our Samuel L. Jackson coaching.
Yes,
what it is.
the ball. Yeah, the wallet. Which wallet is yours? The one that says, remember Pulp Fiction? I'm only keeping this neat when you clean Eugene because we're live. If we were pre-recording, we'd have that bottle would be full behind you. See that vodka?
Yeah. Or maybe it'd be gone. I don't know.
As a gift from Mark Fornicari,
oh, there you go.
Grass player. You brought that in full, and when he left, there was this much left. So let's see. How can we, as coaches, coach AVP and get the fans to care about beach volleyball more? That's a good question, because as far as the players are concerned, to their faces, I'm like, my wife likes going to the games because it's not crowded. You know, and of course, who's this guy with the Yankee? Who's he think he is, right? But now, the nutrition, the preseason preparation, where do you think the disappointment comes from? My eye test, you're a coach.
Yeah.
And you see that qualifier. And just come on, say it with me. You know the teams who are there that know they're not going to win. They're not suffering from delusions of grandeur.
Right.
They know they're not going to win.
They just want to be there, part of it,
Michael Donahue, I'm live on the podcast. What's up? Yeah, I'm podcasting right now. I'm with my guy Fulenwider.
Well, I just wanted to check in because I was going to see about catching up with you maybe this weekend or something if you're around.
All right, cool. Tell you what, we're live. Just say hi to everybody, and I'm going to answer that when I get off the phone.
Okay, hello everybody. These are all volleyball people?
Yes. This is John Fulenwider. We're in our live stream. I got Aaron Wexler this afternoon. I got Kristen Nuss tomorrow, but now you're part of it too. I love being a podcaster.
Do they know to check out quicksticks.com?
What's it called?
www.quisstis.com.
Ain't nobody going to remember all that, but now that it's on the live stream, we'll make sure we type it in, okay?
That's it. You commented on the players who were playing with it at the AVP Open on.
Yep, that's it.
Beautiful, Jason.
All right,
talk to you in a bit.
To be continued. I feel like Mr. Inconsiderate Cell Phone Man. You remember the movie promos? It's Mr. Inconsiderate Cell Phone Man. And get this, it was a chick. Yeah, empathy equals inspired leader quality. Grab that book behind you. The one that says The Inspired Athlete.
Wexler.
At Wexler, who's coming up live at 2:30.
I'm still waiting for my free autograph
Wexler. Aaron Wexler knows I don't like to read, but he knows I read the whole thing. So what I was saying before was the women never had this problem. Manhattan Beach Open, you have 40 women's teams trying to qualify, and we know that 30 of them believe they're going to get one of the 8 spots. The men, you have 100 teams on that qualifier. Come on, Matza up in there, and freaking Schuerman, and guys who are on the bottom of the main draw qualifier over and over and over again that are just, I don't even know why I don't see the killer instinct. I don't see the belief that you're going to make it.
Yeah.
So I challenge them, and now they kept their promises. And now we got good, worthy teams that were left out of the draw, right?
Yeah.
We got good, worthy teams that are left out of the league. And that is the competitive nature. And that is dog eat dog. But how is that different from every single sport?
Yeah.
The UFC, there's so many MMA fighters out there. Not all of them are going to be in the UFC.
Yep.
Do you know what Justin Gaethje had to do to be in the UFC? He had to be undefeated and be the LFA championship and have 6 title defenses in a smaller promotion. Work up, guys. Man up. Cowboy up.
Dude, it's like the question is how do you get people to care more, right? And
no resentment. We celebrate each other's successes.
Dude, that's it, right? I don't know. I see it. I know exactly what you're saying, because there are some guys, and I guess it again goes back to mentality, right? It's like, are you there to say you were there, and that, oh yeah, I played in that, and then you have a story, and then you get to go party afterwards? Are you there for that,
Yeah.
Are you there even knowing that, hey, you know what, I'm probably not going to make it, but I get to work my ass off. Sorry, but I get to work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I get to get better. I'm probably going to lose, but what am I going to learn from that loss? Right. And so you're bettering your game, and your only competition is yourself at that point.
And know yourself.
That's it.
Know yourself.
Yeah. Don't be unrealistic. Know where you're at in the moment and
Right.
in the now, because it doesn't mean that you're going to stay there.
I have an old friend, Jason Olive, University of Hawaii,
Okay.
in the 90s,
Yeah.
right? One of the first to likeness lawsuits, but I'm not going to sidetrack us
Yeah.
with that. When they won, a lot of those guys were
Outside
like to
hitter?
go out. Oh, middle.
Okay. Yeah.
Huge middle. And
Yeah.
also a Versace model.
Gotcha.
A Ralph Lauren model.
Okay.
So that
Yeah.
draws the picture of the mulatto, the mixed race looking
Yep.
guy. And just an absolute smoke show.
Gotcha.
They would go out partying and everybody's like the JO Invitationals and the charity things he's done. Oh, we're going out. You're definitely coming out with us. He's like, no, I'm not. You're like,
Yeah.
yes, you are. He's like, not going to happen.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. Like, he knows himself.
Mhm.
He knows him and his sleep and whatever he does. Winning the night helped him win the next day.
Yeah.
And that's him. Then I got my friend Flaco, Eugene Escoboza, who I played grass with.
Yeah.
We'll go to the Copa and salsa dance all night.
Yeah.
That if I did that, both my legs were cramp. It would look like I'm just flexing. Oh, with these puny arms. It looked like I'm flexing all the time. So it's knowing yourself. But Eugene knows he in his heart of hearts, he cheated himself by doing that too.
Yeah.
He was just so talented. He could do that and still whoop everybody's behind.
Dude, you got people like that even in the old school era. Right?
Yes.
They go partying and getting hammered until the day of the
You
tournament.
guys need some voodoo. Oh, that's Matthew McDevitt again. Coach Chiva, are you guys buying some Voodoo Ranger when I run into you? The answer is yes.
Absolutely.
This is the Jason Davis experience, but I need to do the Voodoo experience. The return on investment in beach volleyball for male players is terrible.
Yep.
I know from personal experience. This is Coach Chiba. Yep. Time, money, mental, etc. Aaron Wexler, thank you. I appreciate you. Karsh Jiba, come back in 2:30 because guess who's going to be on the podcast live at 2:30?
Right here.
The man promised me 40 minutes. I'm not going to abuse that time. And again, I have a quick turnaround for tomorrow's podcast and then a possible surprise guest on Thursday. So busy week for me. I mean,
Dude, that's cool, man.
Again, when I was down, I only did one, but now I'm back. Now you could tell I'm like, I love everybody. I want to talk to everybody, especially you, because again, you and me, this is a long time coming, dude.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. Like, hopefully, this is only part one.
I think maybe like before New York or maybe Manhattan Beach.
Yeah,
I'm actually emceeing for what's the Seaside.
Oh, okay.
Got the contract.
Nice. That's cool, man.
Yeah, they didn't haggle me. I had a proposal. I don't.
Dude, that's awesome.
That's another thing where smart wives come into play. She's like, look, you want to go to Huntington and live stream for free and do all that stuff? Yeah. Do that. Because she knows, to me, that's a debt that is owed.
Yes.
Because when I moved here, I got all the opportunities by buying a camcorder and just chatting behind it. And then Casey Jennings, like, I like that guy. He's got balls. Mayor, Deron Forbes, all of these opportunities that, by the way, I plowed through with a tank. If without you guys, there is no me. But so cool I will always set up my blue tent and do that for free. But everything else, dude, I'm not doing that for
But that's how like coaching these pros and stuff. It's like, dude, I don't ask for nothing. Like, no, I just want to do it. It's fun. I joke with them.
But we feel like it's a debt that is owed because without them, there's no us, right? And so maybe that's true sometimes, and maybe that's not. But I believe in my heart that's true.
Well, and it just helps. You know what I mean? It helps them out too. Because honestly, like if you had to pay, if all these pros had to pay for coaches, still ain't gonna make no money. Like it's a lost cause at that point.
Good money from the podcast. Dude. I make money from commentating and I make money from podcasting and the private lessons I have because you can charge the heck out of kids because of the rich. Because in the South Bay they got parents, right? So adults, I mean, I'm not going to name numbers, but adults, I'm more sympathetic to their plight.
Yeah.
But kids, they want the time, they want good coaching, and I've never, no matter what anyone thinks of my brand or my bottom line, I've never. Yeah. Under-delivered on as a coach, except once with Frank Field and Zepper. I'm like,
it's like
they respect the hell out of me because I said it in open. That one was on like that one. Yeah. Because coaches, their brand is so freaking fragile. They don't like to admit mistakes.
dude, like
openly.
you got,
And
yeah,
so, but for me,
yeah,
I, I don't know. I guess it's because we're such a finger pointing society, right? Like if you only identify as a hammer, you're only going to be looking for nails. So,
yeah,
and like you and I admitting our vulnerabilities, even on this podcast, so many we already forgot about
yeah.
them, is refreshing. I think this has been an enjoyable podcast, which I hope you guys smash that like button for. Mhm.
Yeah,
So,
you know,
I really appreciate
yeah.
you for this, and I knew this would be a fun conversation. Which, by the way, we know this is like a part one. I feel
Yeah.
like
There's just so much more. You know what I mean? And I
yeah.
think people just don't quite understand. Like you could go into the depths of who you
See
are and
this
how
piece
you
of
get
paper?
here, right? Like
I failed half of this. we didn't cover. I had a mission out of respect for you, to make sure we give people bang for their buck. But
dude, hopefully you got
yeah,
it, man. I'm sorry if I rambled on a
you
little
ain't
bit
sorry.
too
Come
much,
on,
but
man.
like at the same time, man, there's
You're
just so much more out
that's my
there
fault.
that I'd love to share with you guys.
First time guest, I gotta let my guest talk. We
Take
come
time,
back on, we
appreciate
have a
it.
watch party, and we could have a watch party here with some people.
There you go.
Grab some booze, and we could talk over each other, and all of us could have a good time.
There
with
you
that.
go. I'm
But
sure they're gonna hit up in the
yeah.
comment section. Make sure you got Voodoo. So
yes, Voodoo. Well, Voodoo is special significance to me because I think I got Voodoo doll. Like my knee only hurts when I play volleyball. I can run stairs.
Yeah.
I can do football routes with my wife.
Yeah.
So I think someone I used to date like has a doll, right? And every time I'm thinking about playing volleyball, she's just stabbing
man.
at. So I got my knee is Voodoo doll. Like no one even knows what the hell's wrong with it, except only a bit of cartilage left.
Right.
From not learning how to land. They taught us how to jump back in the day, and teach us how to land.
Yeah.
So Aaron Wexler, do you really want to comment on your time with Jason? I just don't want to take away from your message. You don't actually, but you don't have to, because Aaron Wexler is going to be live on this podcast, and come in on the comment section and ask and dialogue, and Aaron and I will continue to dialogue with our audience. This is the purpose of me going live. I really, Aaron and I did a couple of games this weekend.
Yeah.
And there was something there because I did three matches from the qualifier, right?
Yeah,
I did
Quakel
and Basie against the Austrian dude. I forgot his name, and my Jesus guy, Diego Perez, right? And when I went home, like Ian Satterfield messaged me, said, "Dude, you had 1,100 views live qualifier."
Dude.
And I went home, it was 2,000 even, just like not 2,001, it was 2,000 even. So I'm like, let me look at the comment section on the technical timeouts or like during the breaks, and started responding to people. Then it got bigger, then more people came in because it was interactive. And then when Aaron joined me later, Aaron has a special gift that he can commentate and then revert to podcast mode and then commentate again, which I don't know if that can be taught, but either you have that or you don't. And I thought Casey Patterson and Rich had that a little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
And I did text Casey and say the two of you together were has a lot of fun.
But I'm glad you're doing this stuff, because like some of those guys never get any love. Right. And it's like, unless you're on court one.
Right.
You know, and it's like, dude, it's cool.
And I think it's because their brand is so fragile. This is why a lot of these podcasts, they can only have top players and top, like people with a blue check next to their name, because they think anybody else diminishes their brand. And yet here we are 3 years later.
Yeah.
And I'm doing a damn thing with Olympic gold medalists and people who never even made the draw.
Yeah.
Upstart, second-year coach from Bakersfield to NCAA finalist. I'm hoping to have Hector on.
Yeah.
I think Aaron has him on today. Jason, this is the karaoke king. What is Angie's go-to karaoke song?
Dude, I only sing in the shower. So I've never as this is my first podcast I've ever done. I've never sung karaoke.
Well, he only asked that because what people know about me.
Yeah.
And my degree in theater, even though I wasn't musical theater, I sang choir for 8 years.
Oh, gotcha.
At this church where people are hollering and speaking in tongues and doing backflips. You know what I'm saying? I love
Pentecostal action.
Yeah. Assemblies of God,
Yep.
Pentecostal, kind of like that merger. Coney
Yep.
Island Gospel Assembly.
Okay.
Yeah. I used to do in prison ministries, in fact. I used to
Oh.
go to Rikers Island
Nice.
twice a month.
Yeah.
And Brooklyn House of Detention once a month.
Okay.
And 6 a.m, talk to prisoners. Maybe you want to talk about sports? Cool. Want to talk about Jesus? We could do that.
Yeah.
I wasn't a terrible spiritual Jesus freak, but I was a spiritual person.
Yeah.
And I still have him. He's still there.
Yeah.
He's always there, right?
Yeah.
I got angels around me.
Yeah.
But I'm just a man without a church, and I'm yapping too much. But singing was where I got that from. So I don't have a go-to song. I can sing. I can go.
Yeah.
Blah.
I mean, if you ask my girls at practice, like it's old school rap. Like we'll roll on like DJ Quick and Sugar Free and Too Short, but like only the clean side though.
The song Tonight. Yeah. Life is Too Short was a bi-coastal thing though when that came out.
Yeah.
That was the same time like Tribe Called Quest. I left my wallet in El Segundo.
Yep.
That's the East Coast thing.
Yep.
Vanilla Ice. We had Ice Baby. I don't mean to include him in the greatest rappers, but don't lie. Everybody was bumping.
Everybody knows his own.
Love's Gonna Get You, Material Love by Boogie Down Productions.
I mean,
so that was the timeline.
Yep, that's it.
What does Andy's favorite warm-up drill? What's your favorite warm-up drill? Pedro or question mark?
So yeah, my go-to warm-up, Mac McDevitt. I'm sure that's who asked that question.
Yep.
It's not Pedro. But we do a version of a drill called line angle. Okay.
I like that.
I was introduced to that drill early on as a warm-up, and then I immediately saw fault in it.
Right.
So like any coach does, he tries to take what he thinks are valuable,
right,
and modify something to get the most out of the athlete.
Absolutely.
So, line angle, if you don't know, one side goes line, the other side swings angle. So
it's just a warm-up drill, one ball for the drill.
Yes,
right.
A continuation, right? The downside to that is where's the defender stand? In the pocket. Where are you hitting? In the pocket. Where should you never hit? In the pocket, right? So we started doing swinging towards the sidelines, making defenders hold and then read and react and still be able to continue that as a continuation drill. We warm it up with a high line cut shot drill because the accuracy, I shouldn't say 9 times out of 10, but the majority of people, especially on the women's side, swing angle, shoot high line.
Right.
Right. So you got to refine that.
But if you know what you're looking for and if you know how to fix it, like if they're just going to slick casually, then it's I won't say it's a wasted drill, but I can go so far as to say it's a wasted drill.
Yeah.
We can go so far as to say
absolutely.
That, right?
So that's why within that drill, the way, like I said, the way I was exposed to it was just no block and you're just swinging angle, swinging line. I'm like, okay, we're missing out on so much more. Right. So I add a transitioning blocker into that drill. So now my blocker, if our shooting high line, they're blocking line, we're making that high line actually go high line.
Right.
And now she's also working on transitioning setting. Right. So we're incorporating this. So that is the drill. And then we warm it up into, banging angle and banging line.
Right. I'll tell you what I like about the drill in a minute, but I wanted to get Angie's question. And I also want to stop this file because this file only records 2 hours and 26 minutes. So we're going to change a new one, get the last 10 minutes on this. But I can get the rest on the live stream anyway. So I'll stop here. Let this keep going in case, again, 2 ways to record it. It's always a win. But this thing is electric or battery powered. So
I do got to give a shot. So another real quick shout out to Matt, who asked that question, assistant coach at GCU, coached with him in club. And Beach. Yeah. We definitely learned a lot being at that club. We learned a lot of good things and learned a lot of bad things. And we've actually refined a lot of stuff to make it good. So, it's like, dude, that guy's legit.
Nice. My homegirl Ola played there. She was a 4-year starter at St. John's indoor, and Alexandra Volkovich.
Okay.
But we call her Ola.
Yeah.
Polish girl.
Gotcha.
Played jump stars on a dude's net. Service. Dude, whoosh, Steffes, you ready now? Because some guys like I wasn't ready. Shit, like, you ready now?
Oh, man.
Whoosh.
Sounds like my Slovakian.
Yeah. Well, again, we have a fantastic immigration population in New York City.
Yeah.
Beach, indoor grass, volleyball, you name it.
Dude.
Aaron Rexler says, what does an inspired athlete mean to you? Let's just put this across the screen like this.
Yeah, man. I tell you, man, it's
loaded question.
It really is. I mean, it's like it goes back to, like you said, what is your inspiration, right? Like for me, I mean, I don't think your inspiration can just be one thing. It doesn't have to be just be one thing, right? Like I'm inspired to create and develop these girls into the best version of themselves as I can, right?
Bang
and
on.
that's it. But I'm also inspired to do something great for the community that without them in Bakersfield and growing up playing volleyball there, I wouldn't have the opportunities I have today.
It's true.
Right. So there's a lot of intrinsic stuff that goes on. I need my inspiration. Right. And then like, if you don't start to see results within what you're trying to do, it's easy for that light to get diminished. Right. So finding those ways to work with the athletes and let them know the growth that they're making. Because so many people want to jump leaps and bounds, right? Like, or like skip levels, like I'm here and now I'm here. And it's like, no, like, don't worry about that. Like, let me show you where you're getting better at, you know? And so like, that's inspiration to me. And hopefully I can inspire them to be the best version of themselves as possible, to get the most out of their college experience. Like,
there it is.
You know, that's Adam. Hopefully that's your answer, but like,
no, I think so. I think it's a loaded question, and in the classic sense of the word, inspired means that someone has to do the inspiring. So, and that's always he asks all of his guests that question, and I'm like, why are you asking everybody the same question? But now I get it. Now I get it because there's no generic one answer for it, and I guess that's really the genius. So that is the genius of one Aaron Wexler.
Yeah, no,
that's why I begged you to come on this afternoon. He's like, he ain't got time for me. I'm like, yo, I got Kristen tomorrow. This is something that's good for volleyball.
Absolutely,
because we can spend the entire 40 minutes just talking about the tournament. Because we spent some time together.
Yeah,
and again, the qualifier match got. Right now has 2,100 views, which rivaled the viewership of Center Court in the semis and finals.
It's crazy.
Rivaled. Even if, let's say they beat me.
Yeah.
You're supposed to.
You're supposed to.
Right? That's like a father saying, I'll take care of my kids. You're supposed to take care of your kids, you dork. You know, so.
Yeah.
So I have some, I was going to do lightning rounds, but we ain't got a lightning round because last book you read, that's gonna take the whole 60 seconds. So we ain't doing that. Last good book I read, I'm actually reading Fight for the Battle to the White House. There's a behind the scenes thing of people that were covering Biden's whatever.
Oh, gotcha.
And the cover up.
Yeah.
Also Trump, you know, like his thing of they attempted how someone tried to unalive him. I can't say that word on YouTube.
Gotcha. Oh yeah.
And just it was quite the dramatic. No matter who you voted for, that was a ridiculous. 2024 was a ridiculous year. So
there's always more going on.
Of course, I read Aaron's book cover to cover. And I don't like reading, but there's a book called Hate Inc. written by Matt Taibbi. How up and down politics weaponizes the working class left and right.
Yeah,
you know,
I can see that.
And I liked it because they concluded that billionaires are the only ones that actually have solidarity. Billionaires don't have a solidarity issue, right? You know, like Elon and whoever was on the other side of that, they're still going to do business with each other. They're not,
absolutely
right. They're not going to say, right, come on.
They're going to say one thing and go do something else.
Yeah, you could feel a certain way about Chick-fil-A, but you're still going to go in.
I'm telling you.
You're still going to go.
Just not on Sunday because they're not open.
I love Jesse Ventura. He says, what's with Christianity and trying to close the liquor stores on Sunday? I'm an atheist. What if I want to drink? And he said it like a cranky old man, but I'm like, he's right. What if you want to drink? So,
but that's the beauty of our country.
So what do you got? So Marvel or DC? What do you got?
Oh man, I'll go Marvel.
I grew up at X-Men, so I got to. Even though the way they did Avengers made me more an Avengers fan.
I took my fam. Well, I went with my family. Shouldn't say I took them, but we went together and watched that latest one.
Okay,
and I forget the name of it now, but
the one with Sebastian Stan.
Yeah.
Okay.
That one was funny. That was
Okay.
funny. If you got, I mean, if you're into it, like go check it out. That was probably one of the best ones I've seen.
Actually, in storage, I have 11 years worth of X-Men from 1983 to 1994.
Yeah.
11 years of X titles.
Yeah.
In cardboard,
Okay.
in plastic, just the way they say you're supposed to save it. I don't know. I hope they're still good.
Right.
So yeah, make mine Marvel. Pool or beach?
What's
Pool or beach?
Oh, I'll go beach.
Look, when I lived in New York, it was pool.
Yeah.
Okay. The beaches are garbage. In Atlantic City, the AVP should never go back to again. It was a dump. But now Hermosa Beach. I know nothing else.
Yeah.
You know, I don't even remember the last time I played indoor, except I took 100 swings.
Yeah.
Someone invited me to like a 50 and overs, like a regional. So
Yeah.
I'm like, you know, hired Ashley Clark from I think Surfside or Surfside.
Okay.
Set, you know, watch my steps, set me 100 balls, and I was good.
Yeah.
I'm 55 next, you know, I'm 55 in July.
Well, you don't look 55, man. Shoot.
No, I look like
good for you.
Look like a creepy 35. hey, little girl, what's your name?
Got the minivan parked out front.
I know, right? The girl's like, Mom, can I get ice cream from this man?
Oh.
Favorite sport outside of volleyball as a spectator or player?
I'll go surfing.
Nice. I go MMA.
Oh, there you go.
And of course, football. It's
Yeah.
just bourbon, vodka, or tequila. You're like whiskey.
Like all three?
Yeah, no. All three?
Yeah.
I'm a Brooklyn guy, so vodka.
Yeah.
You know, I went to high school with the Russians.
Out of those three, I'll go vodka.
Yeah. My high school was near Brighton Beach, and that's
go.
a very Russian neighborhood.
Yeah.
And Ocean Parkway and West 8th Street. Favorite action film star growing up? I go Bruce Willis.
Dang. Shoot, that's a tough one.
What's the ideal future of the entire beach volleyball?
I'm gonna go because it pops up on all my algorithm on Instagram right now is Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Nice. Arnold. Yeah. You're not the first one though. I've asked everyone this question, and Randy Stokely, he said Arnold.
Yeah, well, because he's
John
he
Moran
kind of tried to rival that guy.
Dane said Arnold, like all of the old school guys, all of the guys in that age demographic, which is ours, right?
Yep.
Said Arnold. Favorite conspiracy rabbit hole?
God,
I'll go JFK assassination. I didn't think he could make that shot.
I
don't think he made that shot.
Nah, there's a lot.
Yeah.
I'll go 9/11.
There you go. Building 7, right? Aaron says, what is the ideal future of the entire beach volleyball landscape look like to you? How dare you ask that question at the end, as we're winding down?
You got another hour?
No, he knows that. He's on in an hour or like just over 2 hours.
Oh my gosh.
Aaron, the answer to that, he will type and answer that question if he watches the live stream, if he's still around.
that'll be my book that comes out.
Cool, man. Anyone want to know what you've been up to, or like a particular website, or just give them the website for Bakersfield, just to say here you are and you're doing good things, and
just
the clubs, man. All of the club teams, and again, I was a long-time club coach here too with Endless Summer.
Yep.
Don't know if you remember them.
Yeah. I mean, just go support us. Find us on Instagram. CSUB Beach. I mean, that's the best thing we can. Like, is just get people out there and get people engaged. I mean, that's like, I'll give you another small, quick deal. But like one of my buddies who is a huge supporter of our program was like on the board of the Girl Scouts, right? So when we play tournaments, we'll have Girl Scout days out there. So like, we'll get like a couple hundred people out to the events. I mean, I like playing in front of people. My girls like it. Like, so honestly, I hope like part of Aaron's like question, like, I want to see that. I think college beach volleyball, like there's nobody there. Like there's a handful of friends and family. And it's like, no, dude, like get your team out in the community, go build that support for it. Cause that's how it grows too. And it trickles down the line, right? Hopefully it carries over to the AVP and maybe we got some more people. Oh, the college volleyball. Oh, this is great. Oh, wow. They do this professionally too. I didn't know that.
Well, that's how John did it. Yeah.
Dude, I mean, so it's like, get people there, get people involved. That's how it starts.
Well, John only had one court. So a lot of our practices all of them were Wild URA.
Man.
And, the next year when they won WCCs, it was the first game ever the program director went to.
Oh,
and they
wow.
won.
Yeah.
And they beat Pepperdine out
That's
of the
cool.
losers bracket.
That's
So
cool.
that means they didn't have to beat them once,
Yeah.
but twice. But if you remember at that time, it was kind of the Pepperdine Invitational.
Mhm.
They were the
Oh,
best.
yeah.
Of them. You know,
Yeah.
the WCCs. There was St. Mary's, there was LMU, but ahead of them, two
Was
strides
Pepperdine.
was Pepperdine.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I'd like to finish with this story about John Mayer. I was with him in 2018, and in 2019, I left for personal and professional reasons. I
Sure.
got some great color commentary gigs with P1440,
Yeah, that's cool.
Pepperdine's home games, and I called the Big West Championship. So when John won, he asked me if I could like film one of the courts.
Yeah.
So they won, and everyone's going crazy, and everyone's taking pictures, and they're taking a picture with John with the trophy, right?
Yeah.
And John's like, come take a, come with me.
Right,
So
right.
it wasn't just him by himself. He calls me over, and just me and him, right?
Yeah.
And while we're taking the picture, I was like, man, I wish I was a part of this. And John's like, dude, you were a part of this, right?
Dude.
You were our first winning season and this
Yeah.
and that. So that's that picture right there.
There you go.
So that there's a story behind that picture
Yeah.
because he was taking it by himself.
Yeah.
But he was just like, like, wait, I didn't get one with you. And I'm like, well, dude, I kind of left before,
Yeah.
I was there preseason, but I left before the season started. But he's like, no, you were part of this. So
And that's a great advice for
Mhm.
even our players too, is like,
Mhm.
don't ever forget who helped you get there.
yes.
It's like your club coaches, your parents.
Yep.
Like a lot of my interactions in recruiting, like will be with the parents. So I
Yeah.
want to know what kind of parents I got.
Yep.
And like, dude, we got some great parents at Bakersfield. Like they support our program tremendously. We couldn't do
Yep.
half the things we do without the support of our parents. So I have to make sure that I throw that
Right.
out because like, dude, it's legit.
Well,
Like,
in the South Bay, you need one or two power moms to keep all of these other ones
Yeah.
in line. So kudos to Catherine Miskowski. That's Natalie's mom from
okay.
UCLA.
Yeah.
And has an older sister, Karina, that played for 6'3" lefty that played at USC for Dane. She was the power mom.
Yeah.
And she was the one. Endless Summer. That's, when the parents didn't know who this guy was, she's like, no, we need someone older. We
Yeah.
need someone Brooklyn strict. And
Yeah.
so kudos to her. Kudos to Wendy Jones, whose daughter played at TCU for
Okay,
Hector, and
yeah.
his son Luke Turner played at Stanford.
Yeah.
And big up to Duran Forbes, who is the program director, whose daughter Presley also played at Hawaii, then transferred to FIU. So
Yeah. She's got a great
in this
deal
bay,
going.
you really
Yeah.
need two or three ringleaders, and
Yeah.
those have been them. There's only one man who has all the answers to your question, and his name is Kent Steffes. You're a troll. No, because if I answer that, any way I answer that, I'm gonna sound like a hater, and I already sounded like I dislike Kent. I don't dislike people I don't know.
Yeah.
He don't know me, I don't know him. I don't
Yeah.
F for him. He don't F for me. And,
Yeah.
and that's
what,
and again, we
that's
don't
what makes
need to
it great,
cross
though.
lanes.
No.
We don't need to cross lanes to make this sport work or not.
No.
I'm good. If you want to be over there, you be
Different
over there. I'm
strokes
gonna
for
be over
different
here.
folks,
Yeah.
right? Like, so.
As you can see, we're both
Yeah.
doing fine.
Yeah.
Just don't. Yeah, no. As long as you keep your head down, don't mess with me. We'll be fine.
There you go.
How about that? See, that I got baited into that.
Yeah. But you
And-
took the bait though.
I did because of Karch Jiba. And what a cool username.
Karch Jiva.
I had to
There you go.
educate some of my non-volleyball people why that name.
Yeah.
But we know
Oh man.
the two goats.
Yeah.
The
That's
two goats.
unbelievable.
Karch and Jiba.
Is Karch still the only guy to ever rip down a net in a tournament?
I
And-
think you are underplaying that. He didn't just rip down the
Boy,
net.
knocked the guy off the stand too.
He ripped down the whole system.
That's what I'm saying. Like, what was that? Rhode Islanders? I forget.
All right, now you got to stay for 2 more minutes because
See?
now we got to show the video.
That's what people don't know. Like,
oh
so
my
that's the
god!
deal. Like, I think people forget about separating the coach, the player, and the person. Right. So, like, Karch is a freaking animal and insane, and you could get him going. Like,
Karch Karai
Yeah.
tears down.
but he's a
net.
hell of a coach.
Let's go.
You know.
We got to do this.
Play is over. 6-6. Championship.
Here it
number
is.
5 for Smith Stoklos. And that's it. And so Smith and Stoklos and Karai is so unhappy. He pulls down the net and the referee at the same time, and he is livid. He is out of his mind with anger. The competitive nature of Karch Karai comes out.
That was the whole net system, dude.
I'm saying.
So tell me how you really feel.
Right, see, we had to end it on it. We had to end it on a good one.
Ed Winchester, you're such a poor ref. Oh my God. All right, guys. Andy might like you guys, but I don't love any. In fact, I can't stand any of you. So for all of you at home, for all of you on your iPads, for all of you on your iPhones, I'm going to cue my music to end, but I changed my mind because this man turned my frown upside down. I love all of you. And I got to come with that love because Aaron Wexler is the king of positive reinforcement. He is. Everyone needs someone like that man in their lives. So guys, stay tuned. We got him at 2:30 coming up next. So that's going to be episode, whatever that is, maybe 239. But I'm Jason DeBias. Actually, see that red button?
Yeah.
When I run my credits, when it's over, you hit that one. I'm going to hit this one.
All right.
But yeah, guys, thank you so much. Mad love. That's my man. This is me. And we're out. Come check out the Option Podcast on optionvb.com. It's also available on iTunes, that's good
enough.
Spotify,
Sorry.
and on YouTube under the NY Varsity Sports handle. You're going to love what you hear. Gee,